Chapter 980. Ning Fan forcefully ascended the origin bridge despite suffering severe injuries. His white robes were covered in blood. He was injured by the blood shackles on his body. This was still the result of him having the protection of the God-exterminating shield. Without it, Ning Fan would probably have been killed by the soul blood shackles the moment he ascended the origin bridge. The sound of the bugle horn echoed in his ears. As soon as it sounded, a ray of white light suddenly flew out from the first step of the origin bridge under Ning Fan's feet and turned into a white lotus in front of him. It was obviously a snow-like lotus, but it had a terrifying temperature. That kind of temperature was not considered hot to the people of the Yang world. However, to the people of the Yin world, it was a heat that their lives could not touch. Extreme Yang. It was a white lotus that was filled with extreme Yang power. It was extremely similar to the white lotus formed by carp eyes. However, the extreme Yang power it contained was much more than carp eyes. What made Ning Fan especially surprised was that there were actually 2 lotus seeds on the white lotus. As soon as the lotus seeds appeared, the entire space trembled slightly as if it could not withstand the enormous energy contained in the lotus seeds. Bridge god Gujiang said before that if one ascends the origin bridge, he or she will receive a reward for every step he or she takes. Each of the 12 origin bridges has different rewards. The reward for the first bridge is a white lotus. There are also some people who are very lucky and obtained a white lotus with lotus seeds. The extreme yang in the white lotus can help cultivators to open their eyes further and obtain the recognition of heaven. The lotus seeds, on the other hand, have other uses. These lotus seeds have a name in the 3 great true worlds called the lotus seed of absolute beginning. It has the miraculous effect of helping cultivators cultivate to the void palm realm. However, according to what bridge god Gujiang said, even the luckiest cultivator from the true world will not be rewarded with a lotus seed for every step he or she takes. Moreover, they will only be rewarded with 1 seed at a time. Those who can obtain a lotus seed on the first step of the bridge are less than 1 in 10,000. When I first ascended the bridge, I was rewarded with a lotus seed. Moreover, I was rewarded with 2 seeds at a time. But why? Even though I am the sinful cultivator that Gujiang mentioned, the reward I obtained is actually more than the others. Ning Fan pondered for a while. What he did not know was that the so-called sinful cultivator was just an insulting title that the Dao Han clan used to refer to the 10 types of cultivators. Zhi Xiu was a 4th-tier cultivator that the Dao Han clan rejected. The Dao Han race was in charge of the heavens, so they issued orders on behalf of the heavens that forbade cultivators from approaching the origin bridge. In reality, the origin bridge didn't discriminate against cultivators trying to climb the bridge. In fact, it even welcomed cultivators trying to climb the bridge. The rewards they offered were also far more generous than other cultivators. This was probably the special benefit of being a tenacious cultivator. 2 absolute beginning lotus seeds. Could it be that this child is actually a Zhi Xiu? Bridge god Gujiang had rich experience and guessed inwardly. Ning Fan did not immediately take the second step. Instead, he kept away the white lotus and lotus seeds that the origin bridge had rewarded him and refined them on the spot. The white lotuses and lotus seeds rewarded by the origin bridge could only exist for a short period of time. If they were not refined on the spot, they would vanish from the world, a waste. The refining process lasted for about a quarter of an hour. After refining the extreme yang in the white lotus, Ning Fan was still unable to break free from the shackles and opened his eyes. His extreme yang was still far from enough. On the other hand, the 2 absolute beginning lotus seeds were of greater help to him. After consuming the lotus seeds, the rain star point, battle star point, dark star point and the wood star point in his right eye emitted a burning sensation at the same time. After that, the power of the palm realm contained in the 4 types of yin and yang actually increased by more than a few times. This child actually has 4 types of palm realm power. Moreover, after consuming the lotus seeds, the power of each of them has reached 10 Ling Jun. All 4 types of palm realm power can be considered as having small success in the palm realm. Bridge god Gujiang was speechless. It was rare to see a cultivator with 4 types of palm realm power. Ling Jun was a quantifier in the 3 great true worlds. It could be used to determine the amount of palm realm power a cultivator possessed. If the power of a Dao law is cultivated to its limit, it would produce the power of a palm realm Dao law. If the power of a palm realm Dao law reaches 10 Ling Jun, it would be considered as having small success in the palm realm. If it reaches 100 Ling Jun, it would advance to the middle realm of the palm realm, and 500 Ling Jun would be considered as having grand success in the palm realm. Theoretically, a cultivator would be able to cultivate the palm void realm starting from the middle realm of the palm realm. Only a great emperor who possessed the palm void realm could be considered as a great emperor of the palm realm. In the past, Ning Fan could barely exert a small amount of palm realm power by relying on the cultivation method of the chaotic loop art. The power of a single type of palm realm power contained within a single type of yin and yang was probably less than half Ling Jun. A single absolute beginning lotus seed could increase the power of a palm realm by 20 Ling Jun. 2 seeds would be 40 Ling Jun. When they were distributed among the 4 types of palm realm power, the power of each type of palm realm would increase by 10 Ling Jun. Unfortunately, the ancient God Heart Aperture could only increase the power of a spiritual item that could increase one's cultivation base. It had no effect on the absolute beginning lotus seed. Otherwise, Ning Fan could have gained even more power. Ning Fan had already heard about the classification of the small success, middle realm and grand success realm from Gu Jiang. Even though he did not have much of an understanding of the quantifier Ling Jun, he could roughly estimate that his 4 types of palm realm power had already reached the small success realm. Ning Fan turned his hand and summoned the memory-severing Dao sword. The 4 types of palm realm Dao laws coiled around the Dao sword. He stared at the Dao sword carefully and nodded to himself. By coiling 4 types of ordinary Dao laws, the power of the Dao sword would increase by more than a few times. Now, the Dao laws coiling around the Dao sword were even purer and contained a total of 40 Ling Jun of palm realm power. The power of this sword was at least 2 times stronger than before. The increase in the power of the palm realm did not increase Ning Fan's cultivation base. Instead, it significantly increased his combat power. Should I take the second step? Ning Fan only hesitated for a moment before he made up his mind. He took the second step on the first bridge of origin. More blood mist burst out from his body. The first bridge of origin itself had a force that prevented the cultivators from moving forward. It was like a test. If they could not withstand this force, they would be injured and find it hard to move forward. At this moment, this force overlapped with the power of the Dao Soul blood shackles on Ning Fan's body. It actually severely injured Ning Fan's primordial spirit in an instant, causing nearly 1/3 of his primordial spirit to fall into an illusion. Severe injuries. It was definitely severe injuries. To cultivators, injuries on the primordial spirit were far more difficult to heal than injuries on the physical body. This was the result of Ning Fan's primordial spirit being protected by the God Exterminating Shield. If Ning Fan did not have the God Exterminating Shield, Mu Song would also suffer a severe injury to his primordial spirit. Another 500 Ling Jun was deducted. This brat from the Yin world actually dares to take the second step. Does he not want to live anymore? Isn't he afraid of being killed by the Dao Soul shackles? Bridge God Gu Jiang felt distressed. If Ning Fan took another step on the bridge, he would have to deduct another 500 Ling Jun's merit points. How could he not feel distressed? You have the Dao Soul blood lock. Even if you have supreme-grade Khanate Dharma treasures to protect you, you will not be able to completely offset the damage from the blood lock. With every step you take, you will be injured. If your injuries are serious enough, your Dao foundation will be damaged. If it's serious enough, you will lose your life. Sigh, turn back. Don't walk forward anymore. Although the reward from the origin bridge is important, you have to be alive to get it. Listen to my advice and turn back. If you don't turn back and walk forward, you will lose my merit points. Thank you for your concern, Senior. I know what I'm doing. Ning Fan wiped off the trace of blood at the corner of his lips and kept the reward of the origin bridge after taking the second step. When he thought about how he wanted to kill Gu Jiang just now, he felt a little guilty. This bridge god Gu Jiang actually cared about me regardless of what happened in the past. He's really a broad-minded person. I'm not concerned about you. I'm concerned about my own merit points. Gu Jiang, who was inexplicably labeled as a good person, felt gloomy. It was because after Ning Fan refined the reward of the second step, he took the third step. Another 500 Ling Jun was deducted. For the second step, Ning Fan still obtained a white lotus and 2 lotus seeds as a reward. It was the same for the third step. After taking the third step, the illusory degree of Ning Fan's primordial spirit had already reached 2/3 of its original state. If he takes the fourth step, his primordial spirit would probably collapse and he would die. The third step was already his current limit. Even with the God-exterminating shield, he could not go any further. After consuming another 2 extreme young white lotuses, Ning Fan still could not open his eyes. On the other hand, after consuming 4 lotus seeds in a row, his 4 types of palm realm power all broke through to the level of 30 Ling Jun. When the 4 types of palm realm power superimposed, it had already exceeded 120 Ling Jun. It was slightly stronger than some palm realm immortal emperors who are at the middle stage of the palm realm. Unfortunately, a single type of palm realm power could not reach the middle stage of the palm realm. Otherwise, it was highly possible for Ning Fan to attain the initial stage of the palm realm. Little friend from the Yin world, you won't take the fourth step, right? Gu Jiang wanted to cry but had no tears. He was really afraid that Ning Fan would continue to take the fourth step. I won't go any further. The third step is already my limit. Seeing that Gu Jiang was concerned about him again, Ning Fan's tone became much friendlier. I'm really not concerned about you. Forget it. I won't explain any further. Anyway, the 1-hour time limit is almost up. I can withdraw my projection back to the illusory world. This time, the projection to the illusory world was really a painful experience. Gu Jiang did not want to descend to this illusory world for the rest of his life. The 12 origin bridges gradually became illusory. Soon, they disappeared from the profound Yin world along with the heavenly sound of the bugle. The scenery in front of Ning Fan returned to the profound Yin world. The first thing he did was to use a Millennium Tower to heal his injuries. The injuries caused by the Tao Soul blood shackles were really terrifying. There was actually a terrifying will of the heavens that kept tearing Ning Fan's primordial spirit, causing his cultivation base to temporarily decline due to his injuries that had yet to fully heal. Without 1,000 years, Ning Fan did not have the confidence to heal his injuries at all. Thus, he had no choice but to go into seclusion immediately. When he walked out of the Millennium Tower, his injuries had already fully healed. His cultivation base had also returned to normal. It was already very rare for him to be able to draw the origin bridge down and take 3 steps on it without opening his eyes. Perhaps, he would not have such an opportunity again. If he wants to draw the origin bridge down again, he would have to break free from the shackles and open his eyes. Open my eyes, I wonder how much more extreme yang I need. Ning Fan shook his head. Extreme yang was something that only existed in the true world. In the illusory world, there were very few things that contained extreme yang. The carp eye in the golden sky and black map did contain a lot of extreme yang. Unfortunately, after the previous experience of entering the map, it was highly likely that he would be targeted by the ferocious creatures in the depths of the painting world the moment he enters the map again. Even if he brings the black cat Jioli with him, he might not be able to escape unscathed. Besides, he no longer had a second talisman brush from the Golden Talisman Palace. If he wants to enter the golden sky and black map again, he could only do so with his primordial spirit. He could not bring the black cat along, forget it. I'll put aside the matter of extreme yang and the matter of opening my eyes for now. It's time to leave the wooden island. There were some things that Ning Fan had yet to figure out. However, he could only figure them out in the future. He left the profound Yin world in a flash. As soon as he returned to the outside world, his eyes immediately narrowed. At this moment, there were many people gathered outside his room. There were Daoist Mu Song, Xiang Bozi, Old Wu Ba and the other disciples of the Wooden Island. Besides them, there was also Lu Feng and a red-robed venerated immortal lord with an unfriendly expression. "Oh. Why are all of you gathered outside my room? Is Big Brother here as well?" Ning Fan walked out of the guest room of the monastery and smiled at Lu Feng. His eyes were filled with inquiry. Lu Feng nodded his head. Seeing this, Ning Fan's heart shuddered. He finally understood. It seems like this red-robed venerated immortal lord is a member of the Southern Clan. Previously, when Ning Fan went to the Godly Void Pavilion, he had a deep conversation with Lu Feng. At that time, Lu Feng told Ning Fan a piece of bad news. The Southern Clan found out that someone was impersonating a member of their clan. It was not Lu Feng who told them about it. Instead, it was a deduction made by a powerful old ancestor of the clan. This incident happened about 10 years after Ning Fan entered the ancient wild region. In the past, Ning Fan had stolen the Gu command token of the Southern Clan. This incident was connected to heaven and earth and was connected to karma. It could hide it from most people in the world, but it could not hide it from those old monsters who were proficient in deduction. Coincidentally, that old monster managed to deduce this incident. After knowing that someone actually dared to impersonate a member of the Southern Clan, that old ancestor of the Southern Clan was naturally enraged. Following the karma, he found Lu Feng and used a secret technique to search his memories. Only then did he understand the whole story of how Ning Fan impersonated a cultivator of the Southern Clan. What a great reign, immortal monarch! How dare you impersonate a member of the Southern Clan? Don't you know that this is a great taboo of our Southern Clan? Fortunately, at that time, the fact that Ning Fan was the successor of ancient chaos had almost spread across the entire Eastern Heaven. That old ancestor of the Southern Clan was wary of Ning Fan's reputation as the successor of ancient chaos. Thus, he did not dare to openly deal with Ning Fan. Moreover, Ning Fan had not shown up in the Eastern Heaven for a long time. Thus, he temporarily put this matter aside. Unexpectedly, after another 10 years, a huge incident happened in the ancient wild region. As one of the 10 great secret clans, the Southern Clan naturally had the means to find out the inside story. 2 great cultivators from the ancient times actually appeared in the ancient wild region and they engaged in a life and death battle. One of them was called Zhao Jian. He was a mysterious cultivator with silver hair and a ghost face. As soon as they heard this news, the entire Southern Clan could not remain calm. Zhao Jian was the name of the member of the Southern Clan that Ning Fan impersonated. According to the first-hand information obtained by the old ancestors of the Southern Clan, the great cultivator from the ancient times in the ancient wild region, Zhao Jian, was exactly the same as Ning Fan. Impossible. This young man is obviously the successor of ancient chaos. He's just an unknown life immortal realm junior. How could he be the great cultivator from the ancient times whose name shook the entire ancient wild region? Many of the old ancestors of the Southern Clan could not believe this, but they could not verify it. After that, another 2 years passed and Ning Fan returned to the Eastern Heaven with unparalleled strength. 100 years ago, Ning Fan was just a life immortal realm expert. 100 years later, however, he actually possessed the cultivation base of an immortal venerable realm expert. The old monsters of the Southern Clan did not believe that Ning Fan could cultivate from the life immortal realm to the immortal venerable realm in just 100 years. Did he really think that immortal venerables of the past were as common as cabbages? If one could achieve that level in just 100 years, why would there be so many memory-breaking old monsters who had spent millions or tens of millions of years to reach this level? Obviously, Ning Fan's cultivation base did not increase. Instead, he had always had this cultivation base. His previous cultivation base at the life immortal realm was just an illusion. No, it was highly possible that even his immortal venerable realm cultivation base was just an illusion. The cultivation base of an ancient great cultivator was Ning Fan's true cultivation base. Therefore, most of the old monsters of the southern clan chose to believe that Ning Fan was a great cultivator from the ancient times who was hiding his cultivation base. The things he did in the eastern heaven and the reputation that he gained from the rumors were probably all fake. Even his name might be fake. However, there were still a small number of old monsters of the southern clan who felt that Ning Fan was not the same person as the great cultivator from the ancient wild region, Zhao Jian. Even so, those old monsters of the southern clan did not dare to do anything harmful to Ning Fan. What if? If Ning Fan was really a great cultivator from the ancient times, even the southern clan would not be able to withstand his wrath. Even if Ning Fan was not a great cultivator from the ancient times, he was still the successor of ancient chaos. His master was still alive. Who would dare to suppress him with force? Even the dark race who held hostility against Ning Fan would not dare to do so. None of the old monsters of the southern clan dared to touch Ning Fan. However, they also could not just brush off the fact that Ning Fan was pretending to be a member of the southern clan. After all, they were a dignified secret race. Even if the other party was a great cultivator from the ancient times, the old monsters of the southern clan still had to seek justice for him. Of course, if the other party was really a great cultivator from the ancient times, the so-called justice would just be a formality. All they needed to do was to slightly maintain the reputation of the southern clan and let others know that no one could pretend to be a member of the southern clan. That way, they would not really become enemies with Ning Fan. As soon as Ning Fan went to the divine tomb, LV Feng told him the whole story. One had to admit that LV Feng, this sworn brother of his, was really worth befriending. Even when facing the questions of the old ancestors of the southern clan, LV Feng did not say anything that was unfavorable to Ning Fan. Unfortunately, his memories were searched by someone. Otherwise, he would not have exposed so many things. LV Feng was very worried about Ning Fan's situation. His network was not as good as the southern clan. Thus, he did not know the details of the great battle in the wilderness. He did not know that Ning Fan's ghost-like silver hair matched the great cultivator from the wilderness. From the conversation between the old monsters of the southern clan, LV Feng heard words like, "Could this young man really be a great cultivator from the ancient times?" or, "Does this young man really have the cultivation base of a great cultivator from the ancient times?" Apparently, the old monsters of the southern clan suspected that his sworn brother was a great cultivator from the ancient times. Besides, they also reckoned that great Emperor Ancient Chaos was on the verge of Tao extinction. Thus, they did not dare to use force against him. This is troublesome. Isn't this really troublesome? How could his sworn brother, Ning Fan, possibly be a great cultivator from the ancient times? If the southern clan finds out the truth and Ancient Chaos dies, no one would be able to protect Ning Fan anymore. LV Feng, who was born in the southern clan, naturally knew how terrifying the southern clan was. That enormous foundation was enough to make any immortal king or immortal emperor tremble in fear, let alone Ning Fan, who was not even an immortal king yet. Honestly, when LV Feng first found out that Ning Fan was not a member of the southern clan, he felt a little cheated. In the beginning, when he befriended Ning Fan, he indeed had the thought of utilitarianism. However, after that, Ning Fan gave him some pointers which allowed his cultivation base to recover rapidly. In the past, when his cultivation base was crippled by Sun Luo, he had already recovered half of it in just 100 years. Today, Lu Feng had sincerely regarded Ning Fan as his brother. He was not a good person, but he was a very simple person. If others were to treat him well, he would treat them well. If others were to treat him badly, he would kill their entire family and their entire clan. Since Ning Fan treated him well, he naturally regarded Ning Fan as his sworn brother. When he found out that Ning Fan was standing on the opposite side of the southern clan, he gritted his teeth and stood on Ning Fan's side. "Brother Ning, do you really have a way to deal with the southern clan?" LV Feng pondered for a moment and asked through telepathy. "Don't worry, big brother. It's not difficult." Ning Fan replied with telepathy as well. Ning Fan still had a way to make the southern clan think that he was a great cultivator from the ancient times. As long as he used the god-exterminating shield, which was a heaven-opening divine tool, and made some arrangements, he should be able to make some of the old monsters of the southern clan believe that he was a great cultivator from the ancient times. That was Ning Fan's initial thought. Now that he saw the people of the southern clan, his belief became even stronger. The eyes of the red-robed immortal venerated lord were filled with hostility. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a great cultivator from the ancient times being exposed, there would certainly be many people in the southern clan who would harbor such hostility towards him. Impersonating a member of the southern clan was a taboo of the southern clan. There were no lack of stubborn old men in the southern clan. It was totally possible for them to kill Ning Fan just because of this taboo. He had already become enemies with the Dark Clan. If there is another southern clan, Ning Fan was not afraid of trouble. However, if he could avoid some trouble, who would be willing to be involved in it? Little friend Ning, you. Mu Song and Xiang Bozi had something to ask Ning Fan. Naturally, they were asking about the heavenly sound of the bugle. Unfortunately, before the two quasi-saints could finish their words, the red-robed immortal venerated lord of the southern clan could not wait any longer. He said to Ning Fan with an arrogant expression. You are Ning Fan. Humph. I am the second young emperor of the barbarian tribe of the southern clan. You, follow me back to the southern clan. Don't resist. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Is this kid retarded? Everyone including Old Wu stared at the red-robed young man as if they were looking at an idiot. Even if you are an immortal venerated lord of the southern clan, you can't just snatch the conversation between two quasi-saints, right? Let alone Mu Song, just Xiang Bozi alone. Any first-level quasi-saint of the secret race would have to address him politely as fellow Taoist. You, on the other hand, are just an immortal venerated lord of the southern clan. How dare you snatch the conversation between two quasi-saints? Do you really think that the southern clan can cover the sky with one hand in the eastern heaven? The people of the Wooden Island were not afraid of the southern clan. They knew about their master's formidable battle records. He had once fought against 3 quasi-saints of the Dark Clan alone. How domineering was that? Old Wu was also not afraid of the southern clan. The southern clan? Just by squatting in front of their door, they would have to spend money to invite him away. Ning Fan was also speechless. Didn't the southern clan suspect that he was a great cultivator from the ancient times? Which old monster whose cultivation base had reached the 10,000 ancient realm wasn't cautious? If Ning Fan had a trace of possibility of being a great cultivator from the ancient times, there wouldn't be any inconspicuous people who would come to find trouble with him, right? Even if he really wants to invite Ning Fan to the South Clan, he should be extremely polite. Isn't he afraid that something might happen when he opens his mouth in such a rude manner? Could this red-robed celestial supremacy be a cultivator from one of those clans? You haven't had much experience in the world, and you haven't experienced the deceit of the cultivation world. You've been taking pills to cultivate since you were born. Is that why you're so mentally deficient? Humph, this old man hasn't spoken yet. Is it your turn to speak? Mu Song's expression turned cold. He was originally an eccentric person. It was already rare for him to show Ning Fan a good face. How could he show a good face to any random cat or dog? You, forget it, Senior is right. The red-robed immortal gritted his teeth and admitted defeat to Mu Song, but his tone was very reluctant. As expected, he was an idiot. Even if he was from the southern tribe, he shouldn't have been so rude to Mu Song. Since he was an idiot, then he would torture him properly. If Ning Fan wants the southern clan to believe that he is a great cultivator from the ancient times, he must do something to slightly awe the southern clan. He would use this red-robed venerated immortal lord to put on a show. As an ancient great cultivator, what should he do? After being threatened by this red-robed venerated immortal lord, if he doesn't teach this venerated immortal lord a lesson, he wouldn't be befitting of his identity as an ancient great cultivator. Just as Ning Fan was about to summon the god-destroying giant and crush this unlucky kid to intimidate the southern clan, he suddenly hesitated. This hesitation was not because he was soft-hearted. Instead, it was because he sensed a trace of chi from the red-robed venerated immortal lord's body. The chi of a barbarian cultivator. This red-robed venerated immortal lord is actually a barbarian cultivator. Why are there barbarian cultivators in the four heavens? I heard that the southern clan has 4 tribes which are witchcraft, gu, barbarian and war. This red-robed venerated immortal lord originated from one of the barbarian tribes of the southern clan. Could it be that the barbarian tribes of the southern clan all cultivate the barbarian path? It's also possible that the entire southern clan cultivates the barbarian path. It's also possible that there are only a few barbarian cultivators in the southern clan and this red-robed venerated immortal lord is probably the only barbarian cultivator in the southern clan. Not all of them cultivate the barbarian path. Lu Feng was once a member of the southern clan but he did not have the cultivation base of the barbarian race in his body. In just an instant, Ning Fan went through various guesses in his mind but he could not verify them. However, if this red-robed immortal venerate was a barbaric cultivator, there was no need for him to summon the god-exterminating shield. Ning Fan would be able to intimidate him even more. Berserker, ha, if I'm a berserker, then how should I face the god of berserkers? If I don't go back to the southern clan with you, you are going to be merciless to me, aren't you? Ning Fan turned to the red-robed immortal venerate and asked with an expressionless face. That's right. If you obediently follow me back to the southern clan, then I'll be polite to you. But if you dare to disobey my orders, then I'll let you know that the successor of ancient chaos isn't even worth a fart in my eyes. The red-robed celestial exalt spoke proudly. Then let's see how merciless you are to my subordinates. Scram! Ning Fan suddenly shouted coldly at the red-robed youth. It was a simple word, but it seemed to carry the might of the heavens. At this moment, Ning Fan's will had replaced the heavens and the great Tao of the heavens, becoming the master of all barbarian cultivators in this world. Get lost! Scram! Scram! Without using any cultivation or magic power, a ray of golden light shot into the sky like a gust of wind toward the red-robed celestial sovereign. When it got close, it turned into a golden palm that was as tall as a person and slammed down on the red-robed celestial sovereign. The supreme might contained in the golden light shook everyone's heart. That destructive force instantly destroyed all of the defensive magical treasures and spiritual equipment of the red-robed immortal venerate, including an innate treasure armor. No wonder this man was so arrogant. He even had an innate treasure armor. It was obvious that he was a highly valued existence in the southern clan. However, even the innate treasure armor could not protect the red-robed immortal venerate. In an instant, it was shattered by the golden palm. Then, even his physical body was crushed into a mist of blood. His primordial spirit was extremely shocked. He looked at the golden palm that hit his body with a pale face. The feeling of approaching death was unprecedentedly close. I'll die. I'll die. I'll die. What kind of divine ability is this? This Rain Lord clearly didn't use any magic power. How did he unleash such a terrifying golden palm? I can't resist it, I can't resist it. I've only experienced this feeling in the forbidden area of the clan. Only the South Pole ancestor, who was healing in seclusion, had this kind of cultivation. This is definitely the cultivation of an ancient great cultivator. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Why did I have to be rude to an ancient great cultivator? Why didn't I believe he was an ancient great cultivator? This Rain Lord is definitely an ancient great cultivator who is hiding his cultivation. I can't withstand this golden palm. Not even the first or second rank quasi-sages in the clan can. Only the ancestor, only the ancestor. At the moment of death, the jade pendant on the red-robed immortal venerate's primordial spirit's neck suddenly broke in half. Then, an old figure shot out from the jade pendant. He swung the giant bone club in his hand and collided with the golden palm. Fellow cultivator, please calm down. This is definitely a misunderstanding. The southern clan has no intention of becoming enemies with fellow cultivator. The old man who suddenly dashed out was surrounded by the powerful aura force of a first-level quasi-sage. However, it was not his true body but a clone. However, even with the cultivation of his quasi-saint clone, he couldn't stop the golden palm from descending. His bone club was crushed by the golden palm, and his figure was directly crushed by the golden palm, turning into specks of light that dissipated. Destroying an innate magic treasure and the physical body of an immortal venerate with a single palm strike was not shocking. However, destroying the clone of a quasi-sage with a single palm strike was absolutely shocking. It's Man Daosin's clone. He was actually destroyed by this young man with a single palm strike. Mu Song and Xiang Bozi were shocked. The others might not be able to recognize the clone of a quasi-sage that was instantly destroyed, but how could they not recognize it? Man Daosan was a quasi-sage of the barbarian tribe of the Southern Clan. His true body's cultivation base was almost at the peak of the first-level quasi-sage realm. Even his clone that had been cultivating for many years could be comparable to an ordinary first-level quasi-sage. Was what happened just now real? Ning Fan killed Man Daosin's quasi-sage clone with a single palm strike. Even my old ancestor's clone has been destroyed. I will die. I will die. The red-robed immortal venerate was already in despair. He was dumbfounded by Ning Fan's strength. However, the expected death did not come. When the golden palm struck his primordial spirit, it suddenly turned into a gust of violent wind and blew him hundreds of star regions away from the wooden island. The crowd of cultivators was shocked. I won't kill you, but there won't be a next time. Your identity as the young emperor of the barbarian tribe is not enough. Next time, it will be the quasi-sage of your barbarian tribe who speaks to me. Ning Fan was obviously saying those words on the wooden island. However, with the help of the rain technique, his words were transmitted to the red-robed immortal venerate's ears. Senior, thank you for sparing my life. When I return to the clan this time, I will deliver Senior's decree to the old ancestor of my barbarian tribe. The red-robed immortal venerate was terrified. His primordial spirit cupped his fists towards the direction of the wooden island and ran away with his tail between his legs. It's over. I wonder if my actions have angered this ancient great cultivator. Let's see how the elders of the clan will deal with this matter. In the South Pole Palace of the Southern Clan, 5 quasi-sages of the Southern Clan were sitting in a row with their eyes closed, waiting for something. Suddenly, one of the quasi-sages coughed out blood for no reason. Then, he received the memories of his clone and his face was filled with shock. The person who coughed out blood was Man Daosin's true body. What happened? The other quasi-sages were shocked when they saw Man Daosan coughing out blood. In the entire Southern Clan, other than the old ancestor of the Southern Clan who was still recuperating, the second elder was the second elder of the second-level quasi-sage realm. Man Daosan was the third strongest expert of the Southern Clan. Why did he suddenly cough out blood? It's the Rain Lord. This man is unfathomable. He destroyed my clone with a single palm strike. We must not provoke him. We must not provoke him. As soon as Man Daosan said those words, all the other quasi-sages were shocked. Destroying Man Daosan's clone with a single palm strike. How terrifying is his cultivation base? An ancient great cultivator. The Rain Lord, Ning Fan, is actually that great cultivator from the barbarian tribe. Forget about my clone. I can still get it back after paying some price. However, Man Daosan smiled bitterly. If the Southern Clan becomes enemies with this man because of today's test, it would incur the wrath of an ancient great cultivator. That would be really difficult to resolve. Even if the Great Elder was at his peak, he would not allow the Southern Clan to offend an ancient great cultivator, let alone the fact that the Great Elder was severely injured. Then, if he really gets angry, does our Southern Clan have to lower our heads to him? Are you kidding me? The ancestors of our Southern Clan have always been the guards of the Southern Heavenly Gate of the immortal sovereign realm. There are only cultivators who die in battle and none of us would lower our heads to him. If this Ning Fan doesn't provoke us, we are willing to settle this dispute peacefully. We can even compromise a little. However, if this man goes too far, we will make him pay even if our entire clan has to die in battle. The cultivators of our Southern Clan will never shy away from a battle or death. Of course, it would be better if they could avoid provoking Ning Fan. No one would be willing to make a terrifying enemy for no reason, killing a quasi-sage realm expert with a single palm strike. The few old monsters of the southern clan shuddered in fear. When the red-robed venerated immortal ran back to the southern clan and passed on Ning Fan's message, they began to shift the blame to each other again. Ning Fan said that he would at least send a quasi-saint realm expert from the barbarian tribe over to him next time. Only then would they be qualified to talk to him. That's right. Sending an ancient immortal venerate to look for Ning Fan is a little inappropriate. Then the question is, who is going to talk to Ning Fan? Fourth Elder Nantianhua nonchalantly picked up his teacup and drank for an hour. He didn't finish the cup of tea, as if he was competing with his teacup. He was a sage-to-be of the Gu tribe and did not have the cultivation of the barbarian tribe. The fifth elder, Zhao Wanggong, was constantly pinching his fingers and deducing something. He looked like he was deducing good or bad luck. It was as if this matter had nothing to do with him and he just wanted to stay out of it. Sixth elder Ta Shi and third elder Man Daosan exchanged glances with each other. Neither of them took the initiative to ask for Ning Fan's help. What a joke. What if the negotiation with Ning Fan fails? Should I be killed by Ning Fan with a single palm strike? This was risky, and whoever was stronger would be the one to take it. In the end, it was the second elder, old ancestor Wu Shan, who spoke. Fellow Daoist Ning said to let the sage-to-be of the barbarian tribe talk to him. So, old third and old sixth, choose one of you to go and talk to him. Cough cough. Old sixth, my clone has just been destroyed and my injuries have yet to heal. So. When Man Daosan thought of Ning Fan's terrifying strength, he felt a lingering fear in his heart and looked at Ta Shi pleadingly. When Ta Shi saw his third elder brother who had never begged anyone in his life was looking at him with such a gaze, he let out a long sigh and said, "Fine. I'm a sage-to-be of the barbarian tribe. I'll go and talk to him. At most, I'll just die. There are no cowards in my southern clan." Just as Ta Shi was about to say something righteously, the cold voice of a lady came from outside the hall. "Sixth Grandpa, why don't you let Wei Yu go on your behalf?" A lady in a feather cloak holding an umbrella walked gracefully into the South Pole Hall. This lady was the #1 saintess of the southern clan. Her name was Tantai Wei Yu. It was the same name as a lady whom Ning Fan had met before. However, this lady was different from Tantai Wei Yu whom Ning Fan had met before in terms of appearance, cultivation level, and bone age. Besides, that Tantai Wei Yu was from the Purple Mansion Academy of the Southern Heaven clan while this Tantai Wei Yu was the dignified saintess of the Southern clan. They seemed to be two completely different existences. You? No way. How can we let a little girl like you bear the brunt of the calamity of our Southern clan? Enough said. Third Grandpa will go, but you are not allowed to go. Man Daosan was no longer afraid. He decided to meet Ning Fan. In short, he could not let the little girl Wei Yu die. That Ning Fan was a ferocious man. He dared to destroy someone's physical body and clone just because of a disagreement. He was definitely not a kind person. I'll go. No. Let me go. Let me go. The situation where both sides were pushing each other away actually changed because of Wei Yu's suggestion. Tantai Wei Yu's heart felt warm but she shook her head and said, "No. It's better to let Wei Yu go. You guys don't know this person but I should have some understanding." As she said that, Wei Yu smiled faintly as if she was reminiscing about the past. "You've met Yu Jun before. When was that?" "Ever since you were born, you have never left the territory of the Southern clan which is 100,000 li away. How is it possible for you to have met this person before?" "It's a secret," Tantai Wei Yu smiled slyly. Indeed, she had met him before. That Ning Fan had met her witchcraft gu before. The few grandpas of the quasi-saint realm did not know about this. The discussion of Dao in the past was still deeply engraved in her memory. What a cunning man. He actually pretended to be an ancient great cultivator and scared the few grandpas of the quasi-saint realm. Rain immortal monarch, huh? Others might not know that you came from the rain world but I do. Chapter 981. The news of Ning Fan killing a quasi-saint realm expert had indeed caused a commotion in the southern clan. On the wooden island, the crowd of cultivators was also stunned by Ning Fan's heaven-defying battle record. How could Ning Fan, who was merely an eternal first tribulation immortal venerable, kill a quasi-saint realm expert with a single strike? What kind of ability was that golden palm imprint? How could it have such terrifying power? Was Ning Fan's true cultivation base really just at the eternal first tribulation immortal venerable? Or was he hiding his true cultivation base? Everyone including Taoist Mu Song had their own doubts. Each of them had their own guesses, but none of them dared to ask Ning Fan about it. On the other hand, Xiang Bozi, who had a good relationship with Ning Fan, did not have so many concerns. He secretly asked Ning Fan about it. Ning Fan's answer was that he did not rely on the suppression of his cultivation base to kill Mandaesan's quasi-saint clone. Instead, it was some kind of ability that specialized in subduing the barbarian tribes of the southern clan. Ning Fan sincerely wanted to befriend Xiang Bozi. Thus, he did not hide anything about this matter, but he did not explain it in detail either. This was already enough to astonish Xiang Bozi. Even with his knowledge of the quasi-saint realm, he had never heard of any ability that could allow Ning Fan, who was an immortal venerable, to instantly kill a quasi-saint realm expert. Ridiculous. This matter is just too ridiculous. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would never believe that such a terrifying ability existed in this world. His attention towards Ning Fan became unprecedentedly high. This young man really has endless means. Perhaps even if I don't help him, he also has a way to resist the Dark Clan. Old Wu was even more excited. Look, what did he say? Acknowledging Ning Fan as his master is indeed the right thing to do. Killing a quasi-saint realm expert with a single strike. Ha! How many people in the four heavens could do this? That scene made Old Wu's blood boil. He became more respectful and fearful of Ning Fan. Master, don't tell me you're a second-level quasi-saint. Are you hiding your cultivation base? Old Wu Ba secretly asked Ning Fan. What do you think? Ning Fan did not deny it. I don't think Master is one. Since Master could kill a second-level quasi-saint, you must have something to rely on. However, it definitely isn't because of the suppression of your cultivation base. Am I right, Little Eight? Old Wu asked with a flattering expression. Little Eight? Ning Fan was slightly stunned. Little Eight is this lowly one. This lowly one is Master's Little Eight. In front of outsiders, this lowly one is Old Wu 8. But in front of Master, this lowly one is only fit to be Little Wu 8. Master, Master, you are really too domineering. You killed a quasi-saint with a palm strike. Hee, can you teach this lowly one such divine ability? Old Wu 8 was as docile as a pug. I can't impart this ability to you. However, if you are obedient and follow me loyally, you will naturally receive benefits in the future. Ning Fan said with deep meaning. Sure enough. Master killed the sage-to-be by relying on his divine ability, not his cultivation. Wu Lao Ba secretly confirmed this matter. Suddenly, he was shocked. Master seemed to be deliberately telling him everything. Was this trust? Or a beating? Or perhaps, there was a deeper meaning behind his actions, but Master said that as long as I follow him loyally, there will be plenty of benefits in the future. Old Wu's eyes were burning. So what if his master wasn't a sage-to-be? With such a heaven-defying aptitude, he wouldn't be any worse than Mu Song in the future. In the future, if Master imparts me a few more heaven-defying divine abilities, just wait and see how I, Old Wu Lao Ba, am going to dominate the four heavens. Thus, after this incident, Old Wu's loyalty towards Ning Fan greatly increased. It was indeed an unexpected gain. The trip to the wooden island had come to an end. Ning Fan bid farewell to Taoist Mu Song and made an agreement with him. Then, he returned to the Eastern Ocean Star region. Only LV Wen and Old Wu Lao Ba went with him. Xiang Bozi did not return to the Eastern Ocean Star region. Instead, he went to another place, saying that it was rare for him to come out for a walk and he had to visit a few of his friends. Until Ning Fan and his group left, Taoist Mu Song still did not know whether Ning Fan had opened his eyes or how he killed a sage to be with a palm strike. I'm getting old. I'm really getting old. In the future, there will definitely be a place for this young man in the illusionary world. Now that he is facing the threat of the dark race, if I can lend him a hand, I will certainly be able to form a good relationship with him. In the future, perhaps there will be good results. As soon as Ning Fan left, Mu Song went into seclusion again to prepare for the possible confrontation with the dark race in the future. He swallowed the carp eye to see more of the scenery. After that, he tried to take the 15th step of the origin bridge. If he succeeds, his strength would certainly improve again. Ning Fan returned to the Eastern Ocean Star region once again in order to fulfill his promise to the Luo clan by rescuing the Battle King. Even though he was on the wooden island, he could sense the situation of the Luo clan in the Eastern Ocean with just a thought. The preparations of the Luo clan were already 80 to 90% complete. It was almost time. Along the way, LV1 and Ning Fan had a pleasant conversation. LV1 was a person who would repay kindness and seek revenge for enmity, which was different from Ning Fan. They could be considered to have similar personalities. Moreover, after this incident, LV1 had chosen to stand on Ning Fan's side to deal with the Southern clan. It could be said that he had gone through trials and tribulations together with Ning Fan. Even if they had only known each other for 100 years, they could still be considered as close friends. The threat of the Southern clan has finally subsided. In the future, even if the quasi-saints of the Southern clan come to look for you, they will probably be polite to you out of fear. They won't make things too difficult for you. However, you mustn't underestimate the Southern clan just because of this. Listen to my advice. The cultivators of the Southern clan are the most unyielding. In the words of the mortal world, they are like donkeys. They will be polite to you because they are afraid of you. However, if you push them too far, they will turn into mad dogs and fight you with all their might. Besides, there is still an ancient great cultivator who has yet to recover from his severe injuries in the highest forbidden area of the Southern clan. If the Southern clan sends more people here, don't push them too far. LV1 advised. Don't worry, big brother. I know what I'm doing. You're here to save the Battle King of the Luo clan, aren't you? In recent years, the condition of the Battle King of the Luo clan has been worsening. The Luo clan was forced into a corner. They went around asking for pills and medicines but none of them could save the Battle King. Besides, I heard that many legendary old monsters accepted the invitation of the Luo clan and tried to use their secret techniques to save the Battle King instead of using the war god art of the Luo clan. As a result, most of those old monsters who used their secret techniques to save the Battle King returned with severe injuries. I'm not clear about the details but I've heard that a devil creature has been born in the Battle King of the Luo clan. Saving the Battle King will be quite dangerous. If little brother doesn't have a deep relationship with the Luo clan, it's better for you not to get involved in this mess. Even a few immortal kings have been severely injured by the devil creature inside the Battle King's body. Oh. A devil creature has been born in the Battle King's body? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. However, it was just a slight surprise and nothing more. It would not change his original plan. He was a man of his word. Since he had promised the Luo clan something, he would certainly fulfill it. No matter how powerful that devil creature was, he would not break his promise. That devil creature is said to be at the peak Immortal King realm. Besides, I've also heard that the ancestor of the Luo clan was also an abandoned member of the Southern clan. However, after many generations, the bloodline of the Southern clan in the Luo clan has already become extremely thin. This Luo clan cultivates combat. Therefore, it's highly possible that they originated from one of the 4 divisions of the Southern clan. If that's the case, that devil creature is highly likely to be the ferocious creature in the legends of the Southern clan, the sorcerer god. LV Feng told Ning Fan about some specific information that he knew. Sorcerer god. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. It was his first time hearing that the Luo clan might originate from the southern clan. However, he would not doubt the authenticity of this information. Since LV Feng dared to say such a thing, he must have some confidence. A devil creature with a peak immortal king realm cultivation base was highly likely to be the ferocious creature in the legends of the southern clan. The sorcerer god. Unfortunately, LV Feng also did not know much about the sorcerer god. After all, it was something that only existed in the legends. Perhaps only the higher-ups of the southern clan knew about it in detail. Ning Fan pondered for a while. A peak immortal king realm expert was definitely not in existence that he could defeat. Be it killing a quasi-sage realm expert or killing a Dao carp with a palm strike, it was fine. As a matter of fact, he did not rely on his own cultivation base. His true cultivation base was slightly stronger than Old Wu's, but there was definitely a limit to it. Fortunately, he had the God Exterminating Shield to protect himself. Even if he faces an 8th Tribulation Immortal Emperor, he would still be able to protect himself. Thus, he was not afraid of the Sorcerer God. Under the premise of protecting himself, using the War God art to save others should not be too dangerous. Ning Fan and his group were all experts with profound cultivation bases. Flying at full speed, they returned to the Eastern Sea Star region in just a short while. The Heavenly Sea Star, the cultivation star where the Battle King Luo clan was located. In the main hall of the Luo clan, the clan lord, Luo Shi, was currently smiling apologetically at a few guests. There were a total of 3 guests. All of them were the thought-fragmenting old monsters who had been famous in the Eastern Heaven for a long time. Other than Luo Shi, there were also a few famous juniors of the Luo clan such as Luo Xian and Luo Xiao. Among the 3 guests, 2 of them were at the late thought-fragmenting realm. The strongest among them was an old man who had half a step into the thought-fragmenting realm. In terms of cultivation base, he was much stronger than Luo Shi. In such an occasion, juniors like Luo Xian and Luo Xiao did not have the right to speak. In the past, when Ning Fan did not show up in the Eastern Heaven for a long time, Luo Shi went around begging people to save the Battle King. These 3 guests were the pill refinement experts that the Luo clan had begged in the past. All of them were Silver Core Realm 9th Revolution pill refinement masters. They were known as the 3 Devil Pill Elders in the Eastern Heaven. Moreover, the 3 of them were senior and junior brothers. With their teamwork, they could even attempt to concoct a 9th Revolution Golden Pill. Unfortunately, even though their pill refinement skills were extremely high, they could not concoct a pill that could save the Battle King. Moreover, when they tried to save the Battle King for the last time, they were severely injured by the devil inside the Battle King's body. Due to their fear, they no longer dared to save the Battle King. As the saying goes, it's easy to invite the devil in, but it's hard to send the devil away. The 3 of them were extremely afraid of the devil. They kept refusing to save the Battle King, but at the same time, they were reluctant to leave the Luo clan. The Luo clan was great. Those cultivators who came to save the Battle King had almost all their requests. Pills, cauldrons and whatever else they needed, they just needed to ask and the Luo clan would give it to them with both hands. The 3 elders of the Devil Pill clan were rogue cultivators. They did not have the resources provided by their clan. If they stay in the Luo clan, they could eat and drink for free. They could use the resources of the Luo clan to cultivate and use the medicinal herbs of the Luo clan to improve their pill refinement skills. After tasting the benefits, they were reluctant to leave the Luo clan. The reason why Luo Shi asked the 3 of them to come here today was to send these 3 great experts away. Ning Fan had already returned to the Eastern Heaven. His Luo clan only needed to rely on Ning Fan. There was no need for them to rely on these vermin. When Luo Shi thought about these vermin only taking things without saving the Battle King, he burned with anger. Because the Luo clan was eager to save the Battle King and the conditions they offered were generous, every Tom, Dick and Harry in the Eastern Heaven wanted to get some benefits from the Luo clan. They refused to leave the Luo clan. Most of them were not interested in saving the Battle King. They just wanted to use the resources of the Luo clan for their cultivation. For example, the Flesh Mountain cultivator who ambushed Ning Fan and the 3 elders of the Devil Pill clan in front of him. In the current Luo clan, there were all kinds of messy people. In the past, they had no choice but to keep these people here. But now. In order to save the old ancestor of my clan, the 3 fellow Taoists have put in a lot of effort for the past 10 years. This is a small token of appreciation from my Luo clan to the 3 fellow Taoists. Luo Shi waved his sleeves. Immediately, a jade box appeared on the wooden table beside the 3 elders. Even though the jade boxes were sealed, there was still a trace of medicinal fragrance coming from them. It was enough to show that what was sealed inside was not ordinary. They provided them with good food and drinks and even gave them a gift before they left. Their Luo clan had never treated anyone unfairly. Unfortunately, the 3 elders of the Devil Pill clan did not appreciate their kindness. The faces of the second elder, Dan Lingzi, and the third elder, Dan Xiuzi, darkened and asked coldly. What do you mean by this? Are you trying to chase us brothers away? It's too unpleasant to say that. All these years, how have the few of you been living in my Luo clan and how much effort you've put in to save the Battle King? I didn't mention it because I wanted to give you some face. The few of you should just leave. That way, you can still save some face. The Battle King of my Luo clan does not need to trouble you. Luo Shi's gaze was also slightly cold. He was the head of the Luo clan and also an elder of the Godly Void Pavilion. He was amiable because he was giving these people face, not because he was afraid of them. What a good Luo Shi. What a good Battle King Luo clan. When you need us brothers, you use flowery words. When you don't need us brothers, you burn the bridge after crossing the river. You want to send us 3 brothers away with a trifling 5 million-year-old blue spirit root? Do you think we are beggars? Raged the second elder, Dan Lingzi. Do you think your Battle King Luo clan is still the Luo clan of the past? The Luo clan has already declined. Although you are an elder of the Godly Void Pavilion, us 3 brothers also have people in the Godly Void Pavilion. Your Godly Void Pavilion's background cannot scare us. With your cultivation base that has just broken through to the mid-thought shattering realm, you are even less of a threat to us. If you want us to leave, that's fine. But 105 million-year-old blue spirit roots, not one less. If we can't gather enough blue spirit roots, then us 3 brothers will eat up your Luo clan. Let's see what you can do then. Sneered the third elder, Dan Xiuzi. The eldest, Dan Lazy, did not say anything. Instead, he closed his eyes and rested, as if he did not place Luo Shi in his eyes at all. What was the Battle King Luo family? It was just a declining force, and everyone would give it a shove when it was down. Even if they took the opportunity to step on it, it wouldn't be a big deal. After all, the law didn't punish the masses. Moreover, they did indeed have a backer in the Godly Void Pavilion. In terms of elder position, they were even a bit higher than Luo Shi's 9th elder. Luo Xian's beautiful eyes were filled with anger. Luo Xiao and the other youths of the Luo clan were even more furious. How could they not be angry when others insulted their clan? Your backer is the 8th elder Feng Hai, right? Luo Shi suppressed his anger and narrowed his old eyes. However, he said something irrelevant. This time, the 3 elders' expressions changed. It was obvious that Luo Shi had hit the nail on the head. Luo Shi became even more furious. The bigger a force was, the more internal strife there would be. 100 years ago, the 8th elder Lei Jinshi died because of Ning Fan. The new 8th elder, Feng Hai, was not on good terms with the Luo clan. He actually intentionally allowed the 3 Devil Pill elders and the other vermin to stay in the Luo clan, causing the Luo clan to be depleted. If the war monarch was still here, who would dare to bully the Luo family like this? Since you know who our backer is, you should know that we are not afraid of the Luo family. How about this? 100 tufts of spiritual herbs are indeed too much. Let's make it 50 tufts. As long as you give us 50 tufts of 5 million years old spiritual herbs, we will definitely not help the 8th elder to plot against the Luo family anymore. What do you think? The eldest, Dan Lazy, thought for a while and decided to give in. It wouldn't be good if he pushed Luo Shi too far. Luo Shi was so angry that he almost laughed. Giving these people a tuft of 5 million years old spiritual herb was already an extra favor for the Luo clan. 50 tufts of 5 million years old spiritual herbs. Hee hee. Do you really think that 5 million years old spiritual herbs are cabbages that can be found anywhere? I only have 3 tufts of spiritual herbs. If you want them, then take them. If not, then return them to me. I won't be seeing you out. Luo Shi was so angry that he laughed. How dare you? A mere Luo clan. Dan Lingzi and Dan Xiuzi were enraged. They slammed the table and rose to their feet. Just when they were about to attack Luo Shi, an extremely cold majestic aura suddenly descended from the sky and pressed down on them. As soon as the aura pressed down on them, it was as if the sky was collapsing. It was as if there were countless claps of thunder exploding in their ears. It was as if their sea of consciousness was going to explode. It was simply unstoppable. Both of them groaned and coughed out blood. Dan Lazy didn't have a good ending either. After being pressed down by the aura, his face instantly turned pale. Not only his face, but even his primordial spirit was injured. The 3 devil pale elders were shocked and angry, but more than that, they were astonished. The 3 of them were late thought fragmentation realm experts, but they couldn't even withstand the might of this aura. Who released such an aura? Eternal Immortal Venerable. There's no mistaking it. This aura had the aura to crush the ancient times. Only an eternal cultivator could have such a horrifying aura. That was why the 3 of them couldn't even resist it. Since when did the Luo clan have the backing of Eternal Immortal Venerable? Fellow Taoist Luo Shi, since when did your Luo clan have so many messy people? Do you need me to help you clean them up? No matter what, I'm still a foreign elder of the Luo clan. It makes me uncomfortable to hear others belittling the Luo clan. The newcomers were none other than Ning Fan and his group. Many cultivators of the Eastern Heaven knew LV Feng, but Ning Fan's face was a little unfamiliar. After all, he was just a junior 100 years ago. He hadn't reached the stage where everyone knew him yet. Old Wu's face was even more unfamiliar. However, the ancient aura he exuded was equally terrifying. The 3 devil pale elders sucked in a cold breath. 3 eternal experts had actually come to the Luo clan. 2 of them were immortal venerables and 1 was an immortal king. The one who attacked them was Ning Fan. He was standing in front of the 3 of them. It seemed like he was the leader of the 3. Wait. This person said that his surname is Ning. Could it be, he's the reign immortal monarch Ning Fan who stirred up the Eastern Heaven recently? The ruthless person who failed to kill the newly advanced immortal venerable old ancestor De Yun. Rain Lord, please calm down. We 3 brothers didn't know that you're a foreign elder of the Luo clan. If we knew about this, we wouldn't dare to bully the Luo clan no matter what. We've acted recklessly in this matter. We don't want this spiritual herb anymore. We'll take our leave now. The 3 devil pale elders were extremely afraid of Ning Fan. Ning Fan's aura was not only powerful but also filled with terrifying baleful qi. As devil cultivators, the 3 of them were extremely sensitive to baleful qi. They were certain that Ning Fan had killed more than 1 immortal venerable old ancestor De Yun in his life. They couldn't afford to offend such an expert. Once they do, their lives would be in danger. No wonder when the 3 of them went to the 8th elder Feng Hai to ask if they still wanted to stay in the Luo clan, Feng Hai advised them to leave as soon as possible. It turned out that the Luo clan actually had such a powerful backer who was in existence that even the 8th elder Feng Hai was afraid of. At this moment, the 3 devil pale elders just wanted to leave the Luo clan as soon as possible. Unfortunately, just as they took half a step out of the main hall, Ning Fan's cold voice resounded again. Did I allow you to leave? Thump. The 3 of them felt their hearts skip a beat. They knew that the Rain Lord wasn't going to kill them, right? After all, most of the stories about Ning Fan in the entire Eastern Heaven were about the number of people he had killed. When he was just at the Void Fragmentation realm, he was already bold enough to set up a grand formation and slaughter 100 immortals. After that, TSK. How was that cultivation? The Rain Lord's path of cultivation was built by piling up white bones. Compared to such a person, the 3 Devil Pale Elders were embarrassed to call themselves Devil Cultivators. Fortunately, Ning Fan's next words were not about to take their lives. He only gave them an order. 10 years. Within 10 years, return all the things that you've taken from the Luo clan. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. The 3 of them immediately heaved a sigh of relief and said respectfully, "Rest assured, my lord. It won't take 10 years. In 3 years at most, we 3 brothers will certainly return all the things that we owe the Luo clan. Otherwise, they would certainly be targeted by the Rain Lord." Even though the ancient Chaos Dao was on the verge of extinction and the Dark Race wanted to kill Ning Fan, those were just rumors. Not all the old monsters would act against Ning Fan after hearing the rumors. The 3 Devil Pale Elders knew their limits. Be it the Dark Race or Ning Fan, once they step into the muddy waters of this level, they would be annihilated. They were not willing to do that. They were more willing to find a weak and easily bullied family to live and drink as they pleased. There was no other reason other than safety, thus, the 3 Devil Pale Elders who Luo Shi could not even ask to leave were directly scared away by Ning Fan's words. It was all because the Luo clan had Ning Fan as their backer. I've let fellow Daoist Ning see a joke. In order to save the Battle King, my Luo clan has attracted countless vermin. Sigh. Let's not talk about this anymore. Come and pay your respects to the Rain Lord. As soon as Luo Shi gave the order, Luo Xian, Luo Xiao, and the other youths of the Luo clan rose to their feet and greeted Ning Fan, the Plague King and Old Wu respectfully. Luo Xian lowered her head. She did not dare to raise her head as she was afraid that she would be rude. Her beautiful eyes were filled with amazement and bitterness. After not seeing Ning Fan for 100 years, he had already reached such a high level. In the past, she already felt that she could not catch up to Ning Fan. Today, they were even people from 2 different worlds. Luo Xiao, on the other hand, was filled with admiration and admiration. Ning Fan was the legend of their generation of cultivators. In 100 years, he had advanced from a life-immortal realm to an immortal venerated realm. No one in this generation of cultivators could compete with him. Even if it was the previous generation, the generation before that. How many of them would dare to offend the current Ning Fan? Among the younger generation of the Luo clan, Ning Fan only had some friendly relations with Luo Xian and Luo Xiao. When he saw that the 2 of them did not even dare to raise their heads in front of him, he could not help but sigh. You don't have to be so courteous. Just do what you did in the past. Even though Luo Xiao said that, Luo Xiao and the others could no longer be at ease when facing the current Ning Fan. Even Luo Shi became more cautious and cautious as he was afraid that he would say something wrong in front of Ning Fan. As such, Ning Fan was no longer in the mood to reminisce with the members of the Luo clan. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they got to the main topic. The preparations to save the Battle King were basically ready. They should be able to start in another day. Ning Fan asked about the process of saving the Battle King in detail and also asked about the information about the devil creature inside the Battle King's body. Unfortunately, Luo Shi also did not know much about that devil creature. The information he could provide Ning Fan was very limited. After repeating it over and over again, there was only one sentence he could tell Ning Fan. That devil creature was extremely dangerous. It had the cultivation base of a peak immortal king realm expert. He told Ning Fan to be very careful when he saves the Battle King tomorrow. The only thing they could do now was to wait. Ning Fan, LV Feng, and Old Wu temporarily stayed in the Luo clan. Old Wu was Ning Fan's servant. Naturally, he would go wherever his master went. LV Feng, on the other hand, was Ning Fan's sworn brother. He was discussing with Ning Fan about becoming a guest of the Qianqiu sect. LV Feng wanted to join the Qianqiu sect to help Ning Fan. Ning Fan, of course, would not reject this request. Very soon, the matter was settled. The place where the three of them temporarily stayed was the Broken Halberd Peak. 100 years ago, Ning Fan had stayed here to comprehend the battle intent of this place. It had only been 100 years, but it felt as though things had remained the same, but the people had changed. LV Feng and Old Wu rested in their respective caves. Tomorrow, they would have to treat the Battle King, and they might have to fight with that demonic creature. At that time, they would need to borrow their strength. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was walking alone on the Broken Halberd Peak. Occasionally, he would bump into some guest elders of the Luo clan. When they saw Ning Fan, all of them would be filled with fear and trepidation. Only one person was overjoyed when he saw Ning Fan. He was Wang Meng. He had once provoked Ning Fan, but he was taken in as a servant by Ning Fan. Wang Meng greets master. As soon as he saw Ning Fan, Wang Meng immediately bowed to him respectfully. His bow was filled with unprecedented admiration, which was different from 100 years ago. 100 years ago, although he was afraid of Ning Fan, he was still somewhat arrogant because of his identity as a Duzhen cultivator. 100 years later, Ning Fan would be a high and mighty immortal venerable while he was still at the early Crossing Truth Realm. It was not condescension for a cultivator at the Crossing Truth Realm to worship an immortal venerable as their master. How fortunate was he to have a senior immortal as his master? He was truly too fortunate. Even though this master of his was currently in a bad situation and was being coveted by the legendary secret race, he was still an immortal venerable. Even though his master was a little cold, fierce, and not easy to get along with, he was still an immortal venerable. Even though his master was an immortal venerable. As long as his master was an immortal venerable, Ning Fan was perfect and flawless in Wang Meng's eyes. Oh, it's you. Haven't you broken through to the mid-crossing truth realm? When Ning Fan saw Wang Meng, he could not help but recall the memories of 100 years ago and revealed a smile. Wang Meng was in high spirits. His senior immortal venerable actually smiled at him. This was really a great honor. Sigh. He had embarrassed his master. His master had broken through to the immortal venerable realm within 100 years while he had yet to reach the mid-crossing truth realm. He was not worthy to be his master's slave. This lowly one deserves to die. This lowly one is guilty. This lowly one has clearly put in a lot of effort, but my aptitude is not enough. Until now, I have yet to step onto the true bridge of the mid-crossing truth realm. Wang Meng said with shame. 100 years is not enough for an ordinary person to break through to the first level of the crossing truth realm. I remember that you have the 8 extremities combat physique. Your aptitude is not bad. What you need is just more experience. After pausing for a while, Ning Fan pondered for a while and said. Speaking of which, we don't have any grudges against each other. In the past, you provoked me. I planted a mental seal on you and took you in as my slave. 100 years have passed. Now, I'm returning your freedom and giving you a good fortune. Consider it as ending this karma. As soon as Ning Fan finished his words, Wang Meng's face turned pale with fright. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Master, please don't abandon me. I'm willing to cultivate diligently and serve you for the rest of my life. Did I do something wrong that angered you? I'm willing to change. I can change anything. Wang Meng, who had been cultivating the Tao for many years, actually had a rare moment of panic in his heart. During the 100 years when Ning Fan was not around, he was treated courteously by the Luo clan because he was Ning Fan's slave. He obtained a lot of benefits from them. Deep down in his heart, he really felt grateful for Ning Fan's kindness. Occasionally, when he was meditating, he would think of Ning Fan, his cheap master, and pray for his safety. After waiting for so long for his master to return, his master did not want him anymore. He could obviously regain his freedom, but Wang Meng did not feel happy at all. Instead, he felt a little sad. He could not tell whether it was because he was greedy for Ning Fan's reputation as an ancient immortal venerable or because he missed the days when he was tortured by Ning Fan every day. Or perhaps, he was addicted to being a slave and that was why he did not want to regain his freedom. If you can live with a straight back, don't bend your knees. To think that you are addicted to being a slave. Ning Fan sighed slightly. He flicked his sleeve and removed the mental seal on Wang Meng's body. Then, he pointed his finger at the center of Wang Meng's eyebrows. Wang Meng's eyes turned blank and he felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness. Strange scenes appeared in front of him one after another, as if they contained countless Dao insights. It was a part of the Dao insights that Ning Fan had comprehended since he started cultivating the Dao. If Wang Meng could comprehend it, it would be enough for him to break through to the mid-true crossing realm. It was just a matter of time. In that case, the relationship between you and me has been severed. Go into seclusion to absorb these insights. Ning Fan waved his hand and walked past Wang Meng. All of a sudden, Wang Meng felt sad. It was as if after Ning Fan left, he and Ning Fan would no longer have anything to do with each other. Just like what Ning Fan had said, their karma had been severed. At this moment, the white-haired Wang Meng was like a loyal old servant who had been serving him for many years. He felt a sour feeling in his heart. There was a reluctance. In the future, stay in the Luo clan with peace of mind. You are the guest elder of the Luo clan. Of course, if you are willing, you can join the 1,000-year sect. In this way, even though you and I are not master and servant, if there is a chance in the future, I can still give you a few pointers. Ning Fan said with a deep meaning. This time, he was serious. He was ready to develop the 1,000-year sect. Whether it was Du Zhen or the Immortal King, he would spare no effort to recruit those who could join the 1,000-year sect. Wang Meng's eyes lit up and the sadness in his heart was swept away. I can still join the 1,000-year sect. That's good too. If I join the 1,000-year sect, I can also contribute to Master's cause of dominating the Eastern Heaven. It's decided. Even though Ning Fan was used to being expressionless, he almost broke down at this moment. Dominating the Eastern Heaven? Since when did he have such a plan? Wang Meng actually wanted to help him to dominate the Eastern Heaven. This old man's ambition is not small, dominating the Eastern Heaven. Ha! Speaking of which, it will be interesting if there is such a day. The one who can dominate the Eastern Heaven would be the ancestral emperor of the Eastern Heaven. Ning Fan was slightly distracted. He walked along the winding path in the mountain and suddenly saw Luo Xian under a Bodhi tree. Luo Xian was leaning against the tree. She was holding a worn-out white cloth in her hand. She seemed to be lost in thought. When she saw Ning Fan, she was slightly startled. She hurriedly kept the white cloth and greeted him. Luo Xian of the Luo clan greets you Jun. Her greeting was flawless but there was an indescribable sense of unfamiliarity. It seemed that she did not want to be unfamiliar with him in the first place. It was just that she did not dare to climb up the social ladder, that white cloth. Just as Ning Fan asked, Luo Xian immediately blushed and hurriedly explained. That is something left behind by an old friend of mine. It's not anything special. If it's not anything special, why do you keep it like a treasure? This lie of yours is really lacking in skill. Ning Fan's eyesight was great. Luo Xian's expressionless face fell into his eyes. Besides, with the help of the mind-reading technique, he instantly saw through her mind. It was the white cloth on his clothes. It was the torn cloth that was left behind when the golden light collided with the heavenly sea star when he first came to it. It was just a piece of torn cloth but she kept it until now. How could Ning Fan not see through the affection she had for him? Unfortunately, Ning Fan's feelings towards Luo Xian were only a little favorable. Talk to me. In this huge Luo clan, I can't find anyone who can tell me the truth anymore. Ning Fan looked at the broken halberd peak which had the same scenery as before and sighed softly. I Junior doesn't dare to. Luo Xian immediately rejected him nervously. Her heart actually lost its composure the moment Ning Fan invited her. You don't dare to, huh? Then forget it. Ning Fan sighed again and walked past her. Sure enough, things remain the same, but people have changed. Luo Xian's eyes immediately turned red. I clearly want to talk to you, June. Why? Why don't I dare to face my true self? Wait. Luo Xian took a deep breath. She seemed to have regained some of her pride as the mistress of the Luo clan. Ning Fan halted his footsteps and looked at Luo Xian in surprise. Junior, dares. Chapter 982. Ning Fan nodded his head. It would be great if she dared to do so. Hence, Ning Fan and Luo Xian stayed together for the next day. From midday to dusk, to nightfall and then to sunrise, they did not do anything else. They just walked along the mountain path of the Broken Halberd Peak while chatting with each other. The topics they talked about were the changes in the Eastern Heaven, the predicament of the Luo clan and their comprehension of Tao cultivation. However, they did not talk about love. This also made Luo Xian heave a sigh of relief. As long as they did not talk about love, she would not feel so embarrassed when facing Ning Fan. She could feel much more at ease. Ning Fan walked in front while Luo Xian followed behind him slightly slower. This scene was indescribably harmonious in the eyes of the guest elders of the Luo clan who were going in and out of the Broken Halberd Peak. Hiss. Miss Xian and the Rain Sovereign. Each of the guest elders of the Luo clan was inwardly surprised. They seemed to have discovered an extraordinary relationship. If this matter were to be spread out, it would probably become a topic of conversation for many old monsters in the Eastern Heaven. The Rain Immortal Monarch is indeed a playboy. Even Miss Xian, who never talks to men. She really makes others envious. As soon as the sky brightened, Luo Shi sent someone to invite Ning Fan, saying that everything is ready. Since there were important matters to attend to, Ning Fan naturally would not continue chatting with Luo Xian. He called LV Feng and Old Wu and went to the main hall of the Luo clan together. According to Luo Shi, the Luo clan had spent 3 trillion Tao crystals to set up a witchcraft sealing formation in order to wake the War King up. 3 trillion Tao crystals was definitely a huge sum of money. It had almost emptied the Tao crystal reserves of the Luo clan. The so-called witchcraft sealing grand formation was a grand formation passed down from the ancestors of the Luo clan. Only when they arrived at the Luo clan this time did Luo Shi tell Ning Fan everything about it. He told him about the inside story of the War King's coma. 45 million years ago, Sun Luo had wreaked havoc in the Eastern Heaven. At that time, almost no one below the Immortal Emperor realm could defeat Sun Luo, who had 5 eternal tribulations. Great chaos was imminent, the cultivators were all fearful. War King Luo Ho, who was still in the 3 eternal tribulations, stepped forward, resolutely fighting to protect Godly Void Pavilion. Even though Sun Luo wasn't as strong as he was now, he was still invincible against those below the Immortal Emperor realm. He even killed an Immortal Emperor from the Dark Race. No one thought that Luo Ho would be a match for Sun Luo. However, Luo Ho's strength exceeded everyone's imagination. He used all his trump cards and was able to fight Sun Luo to a draw. Of course, Sun Luo didn't use his full strength at the beginning, but this result was still shocking. Because of this battle, Battle King Luo Ho's name shook the entire eastern sky. But unfortunately, even with Sun Luo's all-out battle, the Battle King was still defeated. The power of his battle art's 4th transformation was scattered by Sun Luo, causing him to fall into a coma. This was already Sun Luo showing mercy, and it was all because he admired Luo Ho's strength. Otherwise, he would have most likely directly killed Luo Ho. There were rumors about these things in the outside world, but there were some things that the outside world did not know. For example, the ancestor of the Luo clan was indeed an abandoned member of the Southern clan, but that was something that happened a long time ago. For example, Luo Ho's strongest ability was not the 4th transformation of his battle art but the innate bloodline of the Southern clan, Witch God. Unfortunately, Luo Shi was just a servant of the Battle King. He did not know much about the Witch God. Even in the Southern clan, not many people knew about it. Luo Shi had only seen the Battle King use the power of the Witch God a few times from afar. That was why he could not provide too much information about the Witch God. According to Luo Shi, the reason why the Battle King could fight Sun Luo, who was 2 grades higher than him, was not only because of the 4th transformation of his battle art but also because he used the power of the witch god in his body. This was something that only a few people knew. Therefore, there were 2 things that Ning Fan must pay attention to in order to save the Battle King this time. First, he must rely on the 4th transformation of his battle art to restore the Battle King's scattered cultivation base. Second, he must be on guard against the attack of the witch god in the Battle King's body. This witch sealing formation was an ancient formation passed down by the Southern clan. Today was the day it would come in handy. When the time comes, Ning Fan must focus on saving the Battle King. He would not be able to divert his attention to defend against the attack of the witch god. Therefore, he must have a strong expert to protect him. In fact, before Ning Fan came to the Luo clan, Luo Shi had already paid a huge price to invite a 10,000 ancient immortal venerate to help Ning Fan save the Battle King. He asked the immortal venerate to control the witch sealing grand formation and protect Ning Fan. The person Luo Shi invited was none other than immortal venerate Cloud Thunder from the Godly Void Pavilion. That immortal venerate Cloud Thunder was also a wise man. He knew that saving the Battle King would be risky. At first, he did not agree to help the Luo clan. However, when he heard that Ning Fan would also help, he agreed to the Luo clan's request. Immortal venerate Cloud Thunder obviously agreed to help because of Ning Fan. He seemed to have the intention of befriending Ning Fan. This was a good chance to befriend Ning Fan, even though there would be a certain risk. Luo Shi's intention was to let immortal venerate Cloud Thunder protect Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan had brought Lu Feng and Old Wu with him. Naturally, the 2 of them could also protect him. In that case, there would be 3 10,000 ancient old monsters who would protect him. In addition to the power of the witch sealing grand formation, it would not be too difficult to save the Battle King. When Ning Fan and his group arrived at the main hall of the Luo clan, almost all the old monsters of the clan were gathered there. Obviously, they attached great importance to today's matter. Immortal venerate Cloud Thunder had also arrived. He was resting with his eyes closed. When he saw Ning Fan and his group, he naturally did not dare to be careless. He greeted Ning Fan, Lu Feng, and Old Wu respectively. He did not know if it was an illusion, but immortal venerate Cloud Thunder vaguely felt that it had only been slightly more than 10 days since Ning Fan came to the Godly Void Pavilion last time. However, Ning Fan seemed to have become much stronger. It should be an illusion. It is not easy to improve one's cultivation base after reaching the first level of 10,000 ancient times. 10 days is definitely not enough. Hee. I didn't expect that other than me, there are actually 2 other fellow Taoists who are here to protect the Rain Sovereign. Let's not talk about the Plague King. This is... Of course, Yunlei knew Lu Feng. However, he did not know Old Wu. It was not surprising. Not many people in the 4 heavens knew Old Wu. Even if they knew him, they would rarely talk about him. As a result, his reputation was not widespread and he was almost unknown. However, this person must not be underestimated. This was the first thought that immortal venerate Cloud Thunder had when he saw Old Wu. Yunlei's cultivation base was at the 2nd tribulation of the 10,000 ancient times while Old Wu was just at the 1st tribulation. However, when Yunlei first saw Old Wu, he felt a strong sense of inauspiciousness from him. This man is definitely not as simple as he looks. Immortal venerate Cloud Thunder inwardly gave Old Wu a very pertinent evaluation. My name is Old Wu. I am the slave of the Rain Sovereign. Old Wu said proudly as if being Ning Fan's slave was something to be proud of. Hiss. This immortal venerate of the 10,000 ancient times is actually the slave of the Rain Sovereign? All of a sudden, Yunlei, Luo Shi and the group of old monsters of the Luo clan were all shocked. Lu Feng was the only one who had already known about this. He was not surprised at all. Before this, even Luo Shi did not know that Old Wu was Ning Fan's slave. He just thought that he was Ning Fan's friend. An immortal venerate's slave was a standard that only immortal emperors would have. Ning Fan actually managed to subdue an immortal venerate as his slave. Even if he was just an unknown person, it was enough to move everyone. So it's fellow Taoist Wu. Forgive me for not recognizing you. Yunlei cupped his fists towards old Wu. His evaluation of Ning Fan rose once again. Anyone could see that old Wu was willing to be Ning Fan's slave. To be able to make an immortal venerate of the 10,000 ancient times willingly become his slave. This reign immortal monarch sure is generous. Old Wu returned the greeting politely on the surface, but inwardly, he snorted disdainfully at their surprised expressions. What's there to be surprised about? Are they surprised because they think that their master is not qualified to take in an immortal venerate as a slave? Do you know that my master has even killed a quasi-saint with a single palm strike? It's not too much for an expert like him to take in an immortal emperor as a slave, let alone an immortal venerate as a slave. What a bunch of ignorant people. Ning Fan's group only exchanged a few pleasantries with Yunlei before they went straight to the main topic. After confirming that there were no mistakes in the plan, Luo Shi and the 5 Shikong of the Luo clan led Ning Fan and the other 3 ancient experts into the most forbidden place of the Luo clan, the Dao Marrow secret realm. Ning Fan had come to this place once 100 years ago. He obtained a lot of Dao Marrow from this place, which greatly improved his ancient devil cultivation base. This place was also the place where the Battle King Luo Ho was sleeping. This place was like an ancient and huge karst cave. Above it, drops of spiritual liquid were constantly dripping down from the giant stalactites, forming an ocean below. At the center of the ocean, there were 9 black giant cauldrons. Each of the cauldrons was filled with spiraling spiritual qi. Outside of the ocean, there were many Dao crystal mountains. Each of them occupied a different terrain and formed a formation. Indistinctly, an extremely grand formation was set up under the ocean. It was the Shaman Ceiling Formation. At the center of the formation, at the center of the 9 giant cauldrons, there was a square-shaped altar on the ocean. Each of the 4 corners of the altar was lit with a copper lamp which was burning with purple flames. At the center of the altar, there was a copper coffin. The copper coffin had no lid and a black-faced burly man was lying inside, unconscious. That burly man was naturally the Battle King Luo Ho. However, compared to 100 years ago, the death qi on his body was much denser. If he still could not gather his cultivation base and wake up, he probably only had a few years left to live. Master, Shi Nu is here to save you. Just wait a little longer. The other experts of the Luo clan did not show much emotion. On the other hand, as soon as Luo Shi saw the heavy death qi of the Battle King, he burst into tears and knelt on the ground. This old servant has sinned. Only today can I save my master and make him sleep for countless years. This old servant has sinned. First, he knelt because this old servant is useless and unable to save my master. Then, he knelt to Ning Fan and the other 3 ancient experts. He cupped his fists and said solemnly, "If everyone can save my master, Luo Shi will repay you with my life." Each of his words was loud and clear like thunder. All of the members of the Luo clan were the descendants of the Battle King. Only Luo Shi was an outsider. He was a servant that the Battle King had taken in when he went out once. Many old monsters of the eastern sky had heard of this matter. As an outsider, he devoted his entire life to protect the Luo clan just because he cared about his master's kindness. When he saw his master suffering, he revealed his true feelings and begged for his master's help. Even though Yunlei and the others had cold hearts, they could not help but feel touched. Inwardly, they all gave Luo Shi a very high evaluation. Luo Shi is a loyal servant. This person's loyalty and righteousness are rare in the world. Originally, Yunlei decided to make this trip just to befriend Ning Fan. Now, however, he became serious. He did not want to disappoint Luo Shi's loyalty. Even though Lu Fei was an evil person, he valued loyalty the most in his life. Otherwise, he would not have stood against the southern clan just because of Ning Fan's kindness. His expression also became solemn. Old Wu felt like he had found a confidant. Luo Shi is a loyal servant. I, Old Wu, am also Ning Fan's loyal servant. We are in the same boat. This person's loyalty is almost catching up to mine. Amazing. Really amazing. Old Wu, who had already decided to be the world's most loyal servant, looked at Luo Shi with respect. Ning Fan's expression became much calmer. He did not say much and just helped Luo Shi to his feet. He did not like to talk nonsense. Thus, he said concisely, "Senior Luo, you don't have to do this. I have already promised you this in the past. Today, I will certainly fulfill my promise." He did not address him as fellow Taoist Luo. Instead, he addressed him as senior, like how he addressed him in the past. From Luo Shi, Ning Fan saw something that was already rare in the cultivation world and was still being lost. In the past, everyone in the Purple Dipper immortal cultivation world had that thing. It was the heroic spirit of sacrificing one's life and death for someone, and the heroic spirit of dying for their master. Strength of character. In the current cultivation world, this thing was missing. Everyone did not waste any more time. After finalizing some details, they began to take action. Luo Shi and the other 5 Shikong of the Luo clan would control the external auxiliary formation, while LV Feng, Old Wu, and Yun Lei would control the internal main formation. They would work together to defend against the witch god who might appear at any time and protect Ning Fan. Ning Fan, on the other hand, entered the altar at the center of the grand formation alone. He would use the 4th transformation of battle art to help the War King condense his cultivation base. Standing in front of the bronze coffin of the War King, Ning Fan gently closed his eyes and activated the power of the Yin-Yang battle art. The Tao law of war between heaven and earth was immediately activated by him alone, turning into endless flames of battle intent that filled the vast sky. Hiss. This is the power of the dominating Tao law. It's actually the dominating position of battle. The crowd of cultivators was shocked. Ning Fan had actually cultivated the dominating position of battle with his immortal venerable realm cultivation base. This was not a level that the 4th transformation of battle art could achieve. This level of flames of battle intent could definitely help the War King condense his cultivation base. Activate the formation. Luo Shi's confidence was greatly boosted. He waved the formation flag and the external formation of the Witch Ceiling Grand Formation was immediately activated. The 5 cultivators of the Luo clan left to control the formation. Lu Feng and the other 2 cultivators who were inside the formation were not idling around either. They were constantly on guard against the possible appearance of the witch god. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was fully focused. He reached out his palm and patted the bronze coffin. The War King's physical body immediately floated up. Ning Fan's eyes were covered with green light. With his eyesight, he could clearly see the lines of Tao law in the War King's primordial spirit that were intertwining chaotically. Many of them were even directly broken. What Ning Fan was especially afraid of was that there was a black shadow beside the War King's primordial spirit. The chi that it gave off was rather dangerous. It was comparable to a peak immortal king. First of all, he had to correct and restore the disordered Tao law of war in the War King's body. As for this black shadow, he would leave it to his sworn brother and the others to deal with it. Fall. Ning Fan pressed his 5 fingers forward. The flames of battle between heaven and earth immediately began to surge madly into the War King's body. It was as if he had forgotten everything in front of him. The only thing left in his eyes was the War King's physical body. In his eyes, the physical body kept magnifying and becoming clearer. He could see every single cell of the body accurately. Then, he could even see them in detail. Ning Fan could almost see the most detailed energy units that made up a substance. Thus, the War King's physical body was no longer like a human in his eyes. Instead, it was like an entire starry sky. Each of the energy units that made up the physical body were like a cultivation planet that gathered in the starry sky. What connected these energy units was the Tao law that the War King had cultivated throughout his entire life. This was the first time Ning Fan observed the human body in detail with his eyesight at the 2nd level of the heavenly being realm. He vaguely understood that every single person was actually a starry sky of their own. What a strange experience. Ning Fan did not take it to heart. He carefully observed the broken and disordered Tao law in the War King's body. Using the Tao law of war that had the same origin as the War King, he divided the repair units into each energy unit and slowly restored them. Xinu, Qian Zhen, Kun Zhenli, this position was restored. Jia Shen, Kun Qian, Dui Sunli, this position was restored. Kue Wei. This position was heavily damaged. It was not easy to restore it. I need to be more careful. Ning Fan was completely immersed in saving the War King. He did not pay attention to the black shadow inside the War King's body at all. Firstly, he had the God exterminating shield which could automatically protect its master. Secondly, he trusted LV Feng and the others. He believed that even if the witch god attacks him, these people would also protect him. Another ant who wants to save Luoho. Kill. Kill. A sharp and cold voice suddenly resounded from the War King's body. At the next moment, a black shadow flew out from the War King's dantian at lightning speed and went straight for Ning Fan. The force of the attack was actually comparable to the attack of a peak immortal king. Heaven and earth changed color and a thunderous rumble resounded. Be careful, my wise brother. LV Feng's expression turned serious. He naturally would not give the black shadow a chance to attack Ning Fan. He made a hand seal and the inner formation instantly sped up. The black shadow that was charging at Ning Fan was directly teleported from the side of the bronze coffin to the center of the outer and inner formation. Each of the 9 cauldrons emitted a purple flame which turned into 9 fire seals and sealed the black shadow in midair. Only then did everyone see the true appearance of the black shadow. It was actually a headless monster. Its nipples were its eyes and its navel was its mouth. Its fangs protruded out of its mouth and it let out a strange roar. It was holding a large dark red axe in its left hand and a pitch-black iron shield in its right hand. Its appearance was rather frightening. Fortunately, everyone present was an old monster with rich experience. They had cultivated for many years and had seen all kinds of strange things. Thus, they did not panic even though they were shocked. This monster was the witch god inside the War King's body. Each of the 9 fire seals that bound the monster had the power to seal a newly advanced immortal venerable. When the 9 seals combined, it could even slightly seal a first tribulation immortal venerable. Unfortunately, it was still a little difficult to seal this monster. The monster suddenly let out a furious roar. Its bones let out cracking sounds as if it was struggling with all its might. At the next moment, the 9 fire seals were all broken and the monster broke free from the seal. Ants! All of you are ants. Kill! Kill! The monster's speed was very fast. In just a flash, it appeared 1 zhang away from LV Feng. Immediately, LV Feng's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly took out the bright yellow pearwood sword and held it in front of him to block the axe light from the monster. Boom! The destructive force of the axe light actually had the power to split the starry sky. LV Feng was not a body refinement cultivator. When he took the attack head-on, he was sent flying with his sword and spurted out blood. Is this the strength of a peak immortal king? A peak immortal king who is the only one below the immortal emperor realm. For example, LV Feng today. He was definitely much stronger than him. After sending Lu Fei flying, the monster's figure flickered and reappeared in front of Lu Fei, slashing down with its axe. This time, Old Wu and Yun Lei were prepared. Just as the monster was about to attack Lu Fei, Old Wu and Yun Lei also appeared in front of Lu Fei and attacked. Old Wu spat out a mouthful of black dirty water. It turned into a water arrow and shot straight at the monster. That was the natal black water that he had cultivated for many years. Because it was related to his dark luck, it was restrained by Ning Fan. That was why he did not use this ability when he fought against Ning Fan that day. Immortal Venerable Yun Lei, on the other hand, summoned a ray of lightning. It was his Tao weapon, the lightning sword. Once it was summoned, it went straight for the monster. Of course, LV Feng still used his pearwood sword. The combined attack of the 3 of them was quite powerful. Its power was almost comparable to the attack of a 4th tribulation immortal king. With some effort, they managed to slightly block the power of the monster's axe. Unfortunately, the monster's first attack was futile. It continued to swing its axe for the second time, the third time, the fourth time. The axe light was aimed at LV Feng and the others as if it didn't care about its own life. Yun Lei and Old Wu's cultivation level were slightly weaker. They were the first to be sent flying while coughing out blood. Then, LV Feng was the next to be sent flying. He could no longer fight the monster alone. He hurriedly retreated while shouting, "Cultivators of the Luo clan, get into formation and protect me." LV Feng had already clearly realized that even if the three of them joined forces, they would still not be a match for this ferocious monster. Up until now, this ferocious monster had not even used any of its abilities. It was just using brute force to slash at them. Even so, LV Feng and the others found it hard to defend against its attacks. This monster was too powerful. They could not fight it head-on. The only thing they could do was to distance themselves from it and delay it to buy time for Ning Fan to save the combat king. Luo Shi and the others did not dare to be careless. They activated the outer formation to its maximum power. More fire seals flew out from the 9 cauldrons and sealed the monster. The monster's eyes were filled with disdain. With a wave of its axe, it easily destroyed all the fire seals. Then, its body flashed and it appeared in front of Yun Lei. Lu Feng's cultivation base was the highest among them. It would not be easy to kill him. Since that's the case, I'll just kill the others first. Not good. As soon as he saw the monster approaching him, Yun Lei felt goosebumps all over his back. Even though he had experienced such a strong sense of danger in his life, it was rare. This time, the monster did not use its axe. Instead, it opened its mouth and breathed out a stream of black qi. That black qi then turned into a ghost head and directly charged at Yun Lei's chest. In his haste, Yun Lei had nowhere to retreat or evade the attack. All he could do was to face the attack of the black qi head-on. As he shouted, a layer of lightning armor appeared on the surface of his body, making him look very dignified. Then, he swung his lightning sword and slashed at the ghost head. That ghost head was very strange. When the lightning sword slashed at it, it actually missed its target. It was as if it was an invisible object and it was not injured at all. When the ghost head heavily collided with the armor, it immediately triggered tens of thousands of lightning rays. However, it did not shatter the armor. Instead, it directly passed through the surface of the armor and struck Yun Lei's chest. What kind of divine ability was this? It was so strange that it could ignore the defense of the spirit equipment. When the ghost head collided with him, Yun Lei felt as if he had been hit by a cultivation planet. This attack was too heavy, too heavy. His aura immediately weakened, his face turned pale, and he was sent flying while coughing out blood. This time, he was seriously injured. When the monster saw that it did not kill Yun Lei in one strike, it was slightly surprised. It opened its mouth again and spat out dozens of ghost heads. The ghostly wails could be heard as they pierced through the sky. Yun Lei's expression changed greatly. Just one ghost head was enough to seriously injure him. If there were dozens of ghost heads, they would definitely be able to kill him. When Lu Feng and Old Wu saw that the situation was bad, they quickly rushed over to help. However, the situation suddenly changed again. The dozens of ghost heads suddenly changed direction and flew toward Old Wu again. Not good. Old Wu did not dare to hold back anymore. He immediately transformed into his ancient true body and hid inside his turtle shell. Unfortunately, the ghost heads did the same thing. They directly passed through Old Wu's turtle shell and crashed into his defenseless flesh. Bang! Old Wu, who had experienced one calamity, was directly hit by the dozens of ghost heads. It was as if he had been hit by a meteor shower. His body immediately exploded into a mist of blood. A ray of black light suddenly flew out from the blood mist. It was a small turtle that had shrunk countless times. The moment the small turtle escaped, it immediately turned back into Old Wu. Although he was not dead, his face was pale. It was obvious that he was seriously injured. So dangerous. This poor Daoist's ancient true body is good at protecting my life. If it was anyone else, they would have been killed by the ghost heads. This monster's divine ability is very powerful. Old Wu still had lingering fear in his heart. It seems that these ghost heads only dare to move around the outer area. Could it be that they are afraid of the inner formation? Let's try using the formation to attack these ghost heads. Lu Feng seemed to have noticed something and immediately formed a seal to activate the inner formation. Fire seals flew out from the 9 cauldrons and sealed the ghost heads one by one. Sure enough, these ghost heads were afraid of the fire seals and could be sealed by the shaman's sealing formation. Roar! The fact that the ghost head's divine ability was broken completely infuriated the monster. It activated its divine ability and the flames of battle burned in its eyes. With a wave of its battle axe, half the sky was ignited by the flames of battle. The sea of fire covered the sky and covered the earth. The scorching temperature was not something that cultivators under the ancient true body could withstand. Collect. Venerable Cloud Thunder took out a gourd magic treasure and wanted to collect the sea of fire. Unfortunately, the gourd only managed to collect 1/10 of the sea of fire before it was burned to ashes. Old Wu was good at the Tao of water. He opened his mouth and spat out a vast ocean. Then, he borrowed the power of Lu Feng's 12 Nirvana Fire Avoidance Pearl to extinguish the endless sea of fire. However, this attack consumed almost 70% of Old Wu's magic power. Even Lu Feng's Fire Avoidance Pearl was damaged. If there was another sea of fire, the 3 of them wouldn't be able to stop it even if they worked together. Damn it! Even though this monster usually hurts people, it isn't this fierce. Why is it so fierce today? Even the shaman's sealing formation doesn't have much effect on it. Could it be that we have to ask an immortal emperor to restrain this monster? Luo Shi said unwillingly. Usually, when the others tried to save the battle king, this monster would at most swing its axe. After repelling them, it would stop. Today, however, it seemed to be risking its life. Why? Luo Shi, however, had no idea. Usually, those people could not save the battle king at all. Thus, this monster did not have a sense of danger and would not attack ruthlessly. Today, however, was different. Ning Fan indeed had the ability to save the battle king. If the battle king wakes up, the monster would lose its freedom and be controlled by the battle king again. It might even be assimilated by the battle king. The monster really felt uneasy from Ning Fan. It could not show any mercy. It must kill every single person who wants to save the battle king. Roar! The monster roared furiously and attacked LV Feng and the others with its axe, causing them to lose their will to fight. Besides, this monster was extremely strange. The stronger its battle intent, the stronger its attack power. With each attack, LV Feng and the others suffered different degrees of injuries. We can't stop it anymore. Roar! Tens of flames were sealed on the monster's body. It seemed to be temporarily trapped. However, it was only trapped for a few breaths' time before it forcefully broke free. Within these few breaths, the attacks of LV Feng and the others landed on the monster's body mercilessly. However, the result was that they could not hurt the monster at all. This monster's physical body was too strong. Without an innate magic treasure, it was impossible for them to break its physical defense. Bang! The monster broke free from the fire seal once again. This time, it did not attack LV Feng and the others. Instead, it directly rushed into the inner area of the formation. Looking down from above, it directly swung its axe at Ning Fan's back. Watch out! LV Feng and the others exclaimed. However, they could not save Ning Fan in time at all. Ning Fan, who was fully focused on saving the others, was awakened by the axe light. The golden light of the god exterminating shield automatically turned into a golden chi wall that was around 1 zhang wide, blocking the attack from behind. Bang! This axe strike was the monster's hateful attack. It was infinitely close to the attack of an immortal emperor. However, this attack only caused Ning Fan to sway slightly. After that, he steadied his footing. He blocked it. LV Feng and the others were quite shocked. Having personally fought against the monster, they had personally experienced its brute force. If it was any other immortal king realm cultivator, they would not be able to withstand such an all-out attack. However, Ning Fan just swayed a little and he managed to block the monster's attack. What kind of ability is that golden light? What a strong defensive power. What they did not know was that Ning Fan had yet to completely transform into the god-exterminating giant. If what was protecting Ning Fan was not the golden chi wall but the complete god-exterminating giant, he would not even have swayed a little. It seems like Big Brother and the others alone are not enough to stop this monster. Ning Fan felt a little helpless. Even the combined forces of LV Feng and the others were not a match for the monster. It was even more impossible for him to defeat it. He did not continue to heal the combat king. With this monster disturbing him, he could not focus on healing him at all. He turned his hand and summoned the memory-severing Dao sword. With another wave, 4 types of sovereign Dao laws coiled around the edge of the sword. Then, he stepped on the altar and turned into a ray of golden light, soaring into the sky and directly rushing towards the monster. Fellow Daoist, don't be reckless. Yunlei was shocked. Even a second tribulation immortal venerable like him would not dare to recklessly rush towards the monster. Ning Fan's action was too dangerous. Facing this monster, there was not enough time to dodge it. How could he face it head-on? What responded to immortal venerable Yunlei was an unimaginably sharp 4-colored sword light. The monster was confident that its physical body was strong. It did not try to defend itself against Ning Fan's sword light at all. However, this attack managed to break through the monster's physical defense for the first time. It left an extremely small wound on the monster's left shoulder. A few drops of blood appeared on the wound. It was not a serious injury but it was enough to shock Yunlei. He, LV Feng and the others had attacked together but they could not break through the monster's physical defense. Ning Fan, on the other hand, had broken through the monster's defense with just his Dao weapon. Even though the wound was just a tiny bit, it was enough to seriously injure a peak immortal king realm cultivator. Those are 4 types of sovereign Dao laws. This kid. Yunlei was so shocked that he could not utter a word. LV Feng had seen Ning Fan's even more shocking actions before. Therefore, even though he was surprised, he was not as shocked as before. Old Wu was even more expectant. He was hoping that Ning Fan could use that palm attack that could instantly kill a quasi-sage realm cultivator. He was confident that if his master uses that ability, this monster would be destroyed with a flick of his finger. If his master makes a move, a mere peak immortal king realm cultivator would be nothing to him. Unfortunately, he had really overestimated Ning Fan, being able to leave a wound on a peak immortal king who specialized in cultivating his physical body was already Ning Fan's current limit. However, it was extremely difficult to kill this monster. The reason why it was not impossible was because he still had the origin chi, the method to ignite his blood and the jade slip of Sha Di. If the origin chi explodes, even immortal emperors would have to retreat, let alone this monster. However, the origin chi was too precious. If it is not necessary, Ning Fan would not want to use it. Igniting his blood would be even worse. From the action of fusing his ancestral blood into the devil talisman, Ning Fan had already noticed that the divine, demon, and devil elements would probably have to face this step in the future. Therefore, if it is not necessary, he must not waste the ancestral blood. Otherwise, it would not be easy for him to cultivate in the future. As for Shadi's jade slip, or perhaps, Ning Fan could ask someone else to help him kill this monster. For example, Xiang Bozi. However, if he asks Xiang Bozi for help, he would not need to owe him a favor. It seemed like he already owed Xiang Bozi a lot. Fortunately, Ning Fan still had a slight upper hand in the face of this monster. If he did not have the god-destroying shield, he would not be a match for this monster no matter how hard he tried. However, with the god-destroying shield, the monster could not hurt him at all. As for him, he could at least inflict a slight wound on the monster, Moreover, as the wound was caused by 4 sovereign Tao laws, it was difficult to recover with the recovery power of his physical body. You guys leave this world first. I will try to see if I can kill this monster. If I don't kill this monster, I'm afraid I won't be able to save the others with peace of mind. The main reason why Ning Fan chased them away was because he did not want to expose the complete form of the god-destroying giant in front of everyone. This matter was related to the Great War in the wilderness. Many immortal emperors had seen the complete form of the god-destroying giant before. Thus, they knew the true form of the god-destroying shield. To LV Feng and the others, it might not be a good thing. Perhaps, they might even get involved in some karma. As soon as they heard that Ning Fan wanted to fight the monster alone, Yun Lei and the others became worried. Only LV Feng and Old Wu knew that Ning Fan had many tricks up his sleeves. Even if he could not win, he would not be in any danger. It would not be strange if he wins. After all, Ning Fan had even killed a quasi-saint realm expert before. They were all severely injured. If they stay here, they would not be of much help. Instead, they might even become a burden. Thus, LV Feng and Old Wu decisively led the others and left the Dao Marrow's secret realm. Inside the secret realm, only Ning Fan and the headless monster were left. Seeing that everyone had left, Ning Fan no longer had any scruples. He directly summoned the Dharma image of the god-destroying giant. The giant held the shield in his left hand and the enlarged memory-severing Dao sword in his right. Roar! When the monster saw Ning Fan releasing the power of the god-destroying shield, it somehow felt a sense of fear that originated from its bloodline. There were 4 divisions of the southern clan, namely Shaman, Gu, Barbarian and Battle. Few people knew about them. These 4 divisions and the entire southern clan were the descendants of the cultivators of a single clan. Battle Shaman. In the ancient times, the Battle Shaman clan was one of the subordinate clans of the barbarian race. After the barbarian race was enslaved by the tribulation spirit, only a few members of the Battle Shaman clan were left. Later on, the survivors were subdued by immortal sovereign Zi-Do and became the guardians of the southern heavenly gate of the great overarching heaven of the Purple Do immortal domain. Gradually, they were divided into 4 divisions. The Gu tribe was a clan that had been bestowed by the barbarian race. They could cultivate the barbarian path and had the identity of barbarian cultivators. The Shaman tribe and the War tribe, on the other hand, were the direct descendants of the Battle Shaman clan. The Gu tribe was a new tribe that was born after the Battle Shaman clan. The ancestor of the Battle King was the abandoned cultivator of the War tribe of the southern clan. As for the Witch God, it was the legendary ability of the War tribe. Only a small number of Battle Shamans could cultivate their own Witch God during the Battle Shaman era. In terms of origin, the Witch God was the signature ability of the Battle Shaman clan while the Battle Shamans were the subjects of the barbarian race. Even the Witch God himself did not know that the reason why he felt uneasy from Ning Fan was not only because he had the power to save the Battle King, but also because he was the dignified 10th barbarian god who possessed the inherited weapon of the barbarian race, the god-destroying shield. Unfortunately, the Witch God was not a barbarian cultivator. Otherwise, Ning Fan could directly suppress him with the power of slaughter and punishment. Even so, the Witch God's heart was already filled with slight fear when he faced Ning Fan. This fear continued to grow stronger in the battle that followed. He attacked Ning Fan with all his might but none of his attacks were effective. Rumble, 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 the Witch God swung his axe again and again. The Witch God had almost exhausted all of his means but he could not break the god-destroying giant's defense at all. As for Ning Fan, every time he swung his sword, he could leave a tiny wound on the Witch God's body. After that, Ning Fan used the yin-yang square seal to attack the Witch God with the first transformation of the seal, the yin phoenix. Due to Ning Fan's lack of cultivation base, even if he uses innate magic treasures, he could only cause almost no damage to the Witch God. However, these injuries should not be underestimated. As the number of wounds on the Witch God's body increased, his injuries gradually worsened. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Ning Fan's battle with the Witch God lasted for 3 whole days. With his current cultivation base, it was indeed impossible for him to kill the witch god without using his primordial chi and ancestral blood. However, it also caused severe injuries to the sorcerer god. It was also because he had cultivated the yin-yang realm of wood and obtained a heaven-defying recovery of magic power that allowed him to fight against the witch god for 3 days without losing any magic power. With the god-destroying shield's defense, he was innately undefeatable. Theoretically, if this battle could last for tens of years, Ning Fan really had the hope of killing this witch god with the injuries that kept worsening. However, the problem was that the Battle King could not live for another tens of years. It was also impossible for him to waste his time fighting against the witch god here. Sure enough, if I want to kill this monster, I still have to use my trump cards. Even though the primordial chi and the slaying emperor's jade slip were precious, Ning Fan would not feel heartache for these worldly possessions if he wanted to fulfill his promise. With a flip of his hand, Ning Fan took out the primordial chi and the jade slip at the same time. I'm afraid I have to use one of them to kill this witch god. As Ning Fan made up his mind, the witch god on the other side lost the last bit of hope he had. In his limited bloodline memories, the primordial chi, nirvana chi, and desolate chi were extremely terrifying things. Just a trace of the primordial chi was enough to kill him. As for the jade slip. What kind of jade slip is that? So dangerous, very dangerous. How could this brat be so difficult to deal with? How could he have so many tricks up his sleeve? Don't kill me. Rahu and I were originally one. Kill me, and Rahu will die. I am willing to submit. That witch god was extremely afraid of Ning Fan. He actually kept his shield and giant axe and knelt down on one knee in front of Ning Fan. This was submission. The barbarian god's prestige on Ning Fan's body was the prestige of a superior being. It made him tremble in fear and he did not dare to fight against him. He couldn't break Ning Fan's defense. Ning Fan's attacks were worsening his injuries bit by bit, making him feel more and more uneasy. However, what really made him despair was the trump card that Ning Fan used in the end. Ning Fan totally had the ability to kill him. Compared to death, he would rather be controlled by the Battle King again, or directly assimilate with the Battle King. In any case, he was a Rahu, and he had awakened the Rahu Battle Shaman bloodline, so he did not lose much. It was better than death. Oh. If I kill you, War King Luo Ho will also die. Ning Fan secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. That was close. If he directly used his trump card without knowing what was going on and killed this witch god, wouldn't he make a huge mistake? Not only would he fail to save the Battle King, but he would also get the Battle King killed instead. Venerable Divine, please spare my life, the witch god kowtowed to the ground once again. Inwardly, he was even more convinced that the lofty barbarian god was not someone that he, the witch god of the Battle Shaman clan, could fight against. Man was the master of the Shaman clan. Even if the current heaven was biased towards Jia Ling and man lost his former position, this would never change. Chapter 983. Once the sorcerer god submitted, the matter of saving the War King naturally went smoothly. Ning Fan heaved a sigh of relief and kept the jade slip of Sha Di and Shi Qi. It was fine if he didn't use the origin energy, but it would be best if he didn't use this jade strip. This was the second jade slip he had left. It could summon 16 immortal king puppets. This was also the second life-saving item that Sha Di gave him. As for the third life-saving item, the jade slip that Sha Di personally descended, he had already kept it away. Even if he had to save the Battle King this time, he did not plan to use it at all. Sha Di, if the mature 9 raccoon's soul blood could delay the Tao extinguishment, it should be useful to the Sha Di as well. The relationship between Ning Fan and Ancient Chaos was like that of a master and disciple. As for Sha Di, he would definitely repay his kindness. Even though he was not as good as Ancient Chaos, he still valued him a lot. It was as if he could see the old man Feng Zhu who had risked everything to protect the descendants of the Big Dipper sect. He recalled the promise he had made to the old man in order to ask for the longevity jade to save someone. If 9 Fox could really enter adulthood. Just as this thought appeared in his mind, the feeling of the renunciation space tribulation appeared once again. That feeling of descent was getting closer. When others gave up their emptiness, they had to give up their obsessions. However, he walked a completely different path. He constantly carried the burdens that others disdained. In those burdens, there was kindness, affection, righteousness, and warmth that he had experienced time and time again since he started cultivating. Abandoning obsession is the method of renouncing emptiness recognized by the heavens. Can it be seen as yang? Reluctance to give up stubbornness was the path of stubbornness that the heavens did not approve of. Could it be yin? Yin. After the trip to the wooden island, Ning Fan's understanding of the Tao had become completely different and had risen to a whole new level. Looking at the great Tao from the perspective of yin and yang. As it turned out, adhering cultivator had always stood on the dark side, the side that the heavens didn't approve of. However, so what if the heavens don't approve of it? It's enough for me to approve of this path. I want to abandon my emptiness and carry my obsession to walk on the yin of the world. If a mortal can reach extreme yin. Thump. 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 It was the sound of Ning Fan's heart thumping wildly. At this moment, with just a thought, Ning Fan actually triggered the samsara void tribulation, which was showing signs of dissipating for the first time. The first heart tribulation of shedding emptiness had arrived. Why does the tribulation have to descend at this time? Ning Fan was a little speechless. He still wanted to save the combat king, but the void renunciation tribulation just happened to come. What should he do now? Could it be that this was what mortals meant when they said that a flower planted intentionally doesn't bloom, but a willow planted unintentionally grows into shade? However, what Ning Fan did not know was that the reason why he could cause the heart tribulation to descend was because he had recognized the origin of the void abandoning Tao. This point was just like a trigger. The reason why Ning Fan came to save the battle king was to fulfill his promise. He had actually obtained the opportunity for the first heart tribulation to descend. Thus, the heart tribulation truly descended. It was a coincidence, but it was also a necessity after completing the battle king's karma. This heart tribulation can still be suppressed. Let's save the battle king first. Ning Fan took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the wild pounding of his heart. Then, he began to treat the combat king once again. This time, the sorcerer god had already surrendered, and the entire treatment process was not disturbed by any external objects. It was very smooth, and after only half a day, the warlord's treatment was completed. The battle monarch's originally lifeless body was recovering its vitality continuously. The spirit chi in the entire Tao Marrow mystic realm surged into the battle monarch's body. A powerful aura gradually appeared on the battle monarch's body. Eternal Third Tribulation. It was a powerful aura that only a three-tribulation celestial king could possess. Moreover, the aura continued to rise. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, it broke through the peak of the third tribulation and reached the fourth tribulation. He actually broke through. The war monarch, who had been in slumber for 45 million years, had suddenly broken through to the fourth eternal tribulation. Ning Fan was slightly surprised, but he quickly understood the reason behind it. Luo Shizhong was extremely obedient. As soon as the battle monarch fell into slumber, he had specially arranged a Tao Marrow secret realm to continuously produce Tao Marrow to nourish the battle monarch's body. Over the years, it was unknown how much Tao Marrow the battle monarch had absorbed. Although he had yet to awaken, his cultivation had increased. It was reasonable that he had broken through the fourth eternal tribulation. If that was all, it would not be enough to surprise Ning Fan. However, very soon, his expression changed again. It was because the battle sovereign's aura force was still rising after breaking through to the fourth tribulation realm. It rose all the way to the peak of the fourth tribulation realm and broke through the bottleneck of the fifth tribulation realm. The immortal king of the fifth eternal tribulation. Moreover, his aura continued to rise, and in the end, it actually rose to the peak celestial king realm before it stopped growing. Finally, you're awake. Are you the one who saved me? The battle monarch's physical body suddenly stood up. It was the first time he had opened his eyes in 45 million years. His gaze was wild and domineering. However, it also carried the heroic spirit that the cultivators of the Eastern Heaven usually had. It gave people the feeling that he was a hero of the current era. At the moment when he turned to look at Ning Fan, his gaze became much gentler. It was filled with gratitude. Even though the battle monarch was in slumber, he could still vaguely sense what was happening in the outside world. He could vaguely remember that it was this white-robed young man who saved him. However, he could not remember the specific process. If Ning Fan saved him, no matter if Ning Fan was good or evil, he would still be Luo Ho's benefactor. As long as Ning Fan did not go against his principles, he, Luo Ho, would owe Ning Fan his life. I'm not the only one who saved Senior. Senior Luo Shi and a few other fellow Taoists also helped a lot. Even the cultivators of the Luo clan also contributed a lot. Ning Fan answered honestly. Little friend, you don't have to be humble. Even though I'm in slumber and I don't know the details, you're the one who subdued my sorcerer god. Am I right? Luo Ho slowly landed at the center of the altar and looked at the sorcerer god who was standing respectfully at the side with deep meaning. He had vaguely sensed what was happening in the outside world. Ning Fan was the one who contributed the most to his rescue. There was no doubt about this. The others naturally had to thank him as well. However, Ning Fan was definitely the one who contributed the most. This was indisputable. Luo Ho was a straightforward person. He did not like to talk nonsense. He had already remembered Ning Fan's kindness of saving his life. He would definitely repay him in the future. Ning Fan nodded his head. The sorcerer god was indeed subdued by him. He did not have to deny this. Luo Ho, you've finally woken up. The sorcerer god looked at the sorcerer god with a complicated expression and sighed. If Luo Ho did not wake up, the sorcerer god could devour him at the moment when he was on the verge of death. This was something that Luo Shi and the others did not know. Without Ning Fan's help, the War King would be devoured by the sorcerer god at his weakest moment in the near future. Unfortunately, Ning Fan had intervened in this matter. The sorcerer god could not devour Luo Ho and could only be controlled by Luo Ho again. You are my sorcerer god. Assimilate with me. I have been sleeping for a very long time, but I have also accumulated my strength for a very long time. If I assimilate with you, I have the confidence to break through to the immortal emperor realm in an extremely short period of time. I am you and you are me. Why must we be separated? Come back. Come with me and dominate the eastern heavens. Luo Ho said again. All right. I agree to become one with you. From today onwards, there will be no War King or Sorcerer God. There will only be Battle Shaman Luo Ho. The Sorcerer God sighed. He had already been defeated by Ning Fan and promised Ning Fan to submit to him. At this moment, he would not reject Luo Ho's suggestion anymore. The Sorcerer God walked towards Luo Ho step by step. Luo Ho also walked towards the Sorcerer God with large strides. At the moment when the two of them collided with each other, they merged into one amidst a burst of dazzling light. Battle Shaman Luo Ho had completely awakened. He still had the appearance of a black-faced burly man and Luo Ho was still in the lead. However, at this moment, his cultivation base skyrocketed once again. When the cultivation bases of two peak immortal kings overlapped, they immediately had the aura force of a quasi-emperor realm expert. A quasi-emperor was an existence that could truly become an immortal emperor after going through the 9-5 tribulation and completing the integration of the emperor chi into his soul. The amount of magic power he possessed was already similar to that of a 6th tribulation immortal emperor. The only difference was that he had a golden primordial spirit that was integrated with the emperor chi. The Battle King has actually taken half a step into the immortal emperor realm and is very close to becoming an immortal emperor. Ning Fan was greatly moved. The Battle King, who was in a coma and on the verge of death, had his cultivation base skyrocketing as soon as he woke up and was very close to becoming an immortal emperor. If this matter were to spread out, it would probably cause a huge commotion in the eastern heavens. I have been sleeping for 45 million years. During these years, I have accumulated quite a lot of heavenly tribulations. Of course, there is also the 9-5 tribulation to break through to the immortal emperor realm. However, I haven't fully prepared for it yet. Thus, I can only put this 9-5 tribulation aside for the time being. I have benefited a lot from my slumber this time. Now, it seems like I owe Sun Luo a great deal of karma. In the past, he must have noticed that I, the sorcerer god, had taken the wrong path in my cultivation. That was why he sealed my heavenly tribulations at a great price when he destroyed my cultivation base, allowing me to sleep peacefully for tens of millions of years. Otherwise, Luo Shi and the others wouldn't be able to withstand these heavenly tribulations which were getting stronger and stronger. Moreover, if I didn't sleep this time, the sorcerer god and I wouldn't be as strong as we are today. Sun Luo, oh Sun Luo, what kind of person are you? You were the one who brought disaster to the godly void pavilion in the past. Now, you are also the one who helped me to have the chance to become an immortal emperor. Luo Ho sighed with emotion. If Ning Fan was the one who was most grateful to him for waking up, then the one who was most grateful to him for having a chance to break through to the immortal emperor realm was Sun Luo. Sun Luo, Sun Luo. Sun Luo is already dead. Once one's cultivation base enters the quasi-emperor realm, one would be able to sense many things that were related to oneself to a certain extent. Sun Luo is actually dead. It seems like I can't repay this kindness anymore. No, it's not that I can't repay it. Luo Ho suddenly came to a realization. In the past, Sun Luo stubbornly went his own way and offended the dark race for a woman. He even made the entire world his enemy. He did not even hesitate to implicate his master and the godly void pavilion. Sun Luo must have felt guilty about it. This guilt seemed to be repaid to him, Luo Ho. The reason why Sun Luo helped him to become an immortal emperor was because he wanted to add a peerless immortal emperor to the godly void pavilion to make up for the regret of not being able to protect the godly void pavilion on behalf of his master. Luo Ho owed Sun Luo a huge amount of karma. If he wants to repay it, the best way is to replace Sun Luo and protect the godly void pavilion for the rest of his life. I see. So when you destroyed my cultivation base in the past, you already calculated this point. Forget it. You're the one who helped me to become an immortal emperor after all. If protecting the godly void pavilion is your last wish, then I, Luo Ho, will bear this last wish for you. In this way, the karma between him and Sun Luo was settled. Neither of them owed each other anything. As for Ning Fan, little friend, you've saved my life. I should thank you generously. However, I still have a heavenly tribulation to transcend at this moment. It's inconvenient for me to talk to you. Can you wait for a moment? After I transcend the tribulation, we'll talk in detail. Luo Ho cupped his fists at Ning Fan and said with a serious expression. Senior, please do as you wish. I also have some urgent matters to attend to. I must go into seclusion immediately. What Ning Fan was referring to was naturally the renunciation void tribulation that he had painstakingly suppressed. He had been suppressing this heart tribulation for half a day. At this moment, his heart was beating wildly and it was difficult for him to suppress it any longer. He had already reached his limit. He must immediately go into seclusion to transcend the tribulation. If it wasn't because of this, he would be very willing to see how Luo Ho transcended the major and minor heavenly tribulations. Judging from Luo Ho's tone, it was the major and minor heavenly tribulations that had accumulated for 45 million years. According to the ancient cultivators, there would be a minor heavenly tribulation every 900 years and a major heavenly tribulation every 9,000 years. Luo Ho would at least have to go through 50,000 minor heavenly tribulations and 5,000 major heavenly tribulations. One should know that the power of the major and minor heavenly tribulations of cultivators would grow stronger each time. Ning Fan really wanted to see how Luo Ho would transcend so many heavenly tribulations. It would certainly be a spectacular scene. Unfortunately, he was also very busy. Thus, Ning Fan temporarily left the Dao Marrow secret realm and returned to the outside world. The Battle King, Luo Ho, stayed in the Dao Marrow's secret realm to transcend his tribulation. As soon as he returned to the outside world, Luo Shi and the others immediately surrounded him and asked about the progress of the matter. Lu Feng, Old Wu, and Yun Lei, who were severely injured, had only slightly suppressed their injuries. They were still waiting for Ning Fan's news outside the secret realm. Of course, it was because they were concerned about the progress of the matter. Ning Fan did not tell them about the process of subduing the witch god in detail. He only told them that he had successfully saved the Battle King and that the latter was currently transcending his tribulation in the secret realm. The power of the heavenly tribulation that had accumulated for tens of millions of years was not to be underestimated. Ning Fan told Luo Shi and the others not to enter the secret realm to observe the tribulation in case they were affected by it. After that, Ning Fan became a hands-off person and went into seclusion in the profound Yin world. He had fulfilled his promise to the Luo clan. The Battle King had been saved. The remaining matters would be handled by the Luo clan. As soon as they heard that Luo Ho had awakened and was transcending the heavenly tribulation that had accumulated for tens of millions of years, Luo Shi and the other cultivators who had yet to attain the eternal ancient realm certainly did not dare to enter the secret realm to observe the tribulation. On the other hand, the eyes of LV Feng, Old Wu, and Yun Lei lit up. Without much hesitation, they joined hands and entered the secret realm to observe the Battle King's tribulation. Being able to observe the tribulation of an immortal king who had accumulated his heavenly tribulation for tens of millions of years was an extremely rare opportunity. Perhaps the three of them would be able to gain some insights from it. Compared to gaining insights, the matter of recuperating in seclusion could be postponed for the time being. It would not be too late for them to recuperate after watching the Battle King's tribulation. Old Wu, the loyal servant, even took out a recording jade slip of an extremely high grade, preparing to record the details of the Battle King's tribulation for Ning Fan. Since his master had urgent matters to attend to, he had lost the opportunity to observe the tribulation. As the #1 loyal servant in the world, he naturally had to do something for his master. In order to record the process of an immortal king's tribulation, the grade of the recording jade slip was definitely not ordinary. This jade slip required at least 100 billion Dao crystals to be bought in the eastern heaven. When Yun Lei and the others saw that Old Wu was willing to spend so much just to let their master watch the recording of the immortal king's tribulation, they were filled with mixed emotions and gave Old Wu a very negative evaluation. Old Wu is truly a loyal servant. This person's loyalty is as bright as the sun and the moon. It has been passed down from ancient times. If Ning Fan heard Old Wu's evaluation, he would certainly be speechless. If Luo Shi is said to be a loyal servant, he would agree. However, if Old Wu is said to be a loyal servant, he could only chuckle. Unfortunately, Ning Fan was destined not to hear this evaluation. As soon as he entered the profound Yin West world, Ning Fan released the suppression of the Samsara void tribulation. At the moment when he released the heart tribulation, the shadows of the 4 true bridges immediately appeared in the sky. Below the 4 true bridges was a gurgling river. In the river, there was a very blurry reflection under the first true illusion bridge. Ning Fan's figure flashed and appeared on the first true illusion bridge. He held the railing and looked at the blurry reflection in the river. As the heart tribulation continued to deepen, those reflections gradually became clearer. They were the scenes of Ning Fan's promises that he had kept since he started cultivating the Tao. If Elder Ning promises to help the Hu clan 3 times, I am willing to condense a cultivation pill with all my cultivation base and give it to you, Elder, at the cost of not entering samsara. Initially, I was going to give this pill to Hu Ming. But it seems like he is still too young and can't take on such a great responsibility. Cultivation pill. You have done too much for the clan. I won't regret it. Elder Ning, just tell me, do you promise or not? Forget it. If I get the cultivation pill, Ning Fan, promise to help the Hu clan 3 times in my lifetime. This promise was when Ning Fan promised to protect the Hu clan of Yu country when he was still in the harmonious spirit realm. Later on, he really did do it. Hu Fengzi of the Hu clan was a distant memory. If it wasn't because he saw the past in the reflection, Ning Fan would have forgotten about the Hu clan, which was as small as a grain of rice. However, he couldn't forget Hu Fengzi. He couldn't forget that this person was willing to turn into ashes in order to protect his clan. He didn't want to enter samsara and condense a cultivation pill in exchange for Ning Fan's help to protect the Hu clan 3 times. It was Ning Fan's first time encountering such a person since he first started cultivating the Tao. He was actually willing to perish in order to protect others. Is it worth it? That year, Ning Fan asked himself the same question. The answer he got was, so what if it's worth it or not? The people of the world had long forgotten about Hu Fengzi. Even the clansmen that he risked his life to protect had forgotten about him. With the passage of time, perhaps no one in the current Rain world or the current Yu country could remember that there was once an insignificant cultivator who made a heroic decision to protect his clan. It was a heroic act. Rain was born from the sky and fell on the ground. It nourished the plants and nurtured living beings. The reason why it was called rain, not water, not river, not lake or sea, was because it had its own Tao. It nourished the plants and didn't ask for anything in return. It didn't matter if it was worth it or not. It was just the Tao, so it did it. Just because the Tao was like this, it could be duty-bound without hesitation. Ning Fan looked at the reflection in the river and at Hu Fengzi's reflection. He seemed to have understood something. The void abandoning 4 realms, 4 true bridges, 4 reflections under the 4 bridges. I'm afraid that I would be able to see a part of the reflection in the river every time I go through a heart tribulation. The cultivators of Dujin repaired the bridge above the river. The cultivators of void abandoning cultivators repaired the shadow under the bridge. The so-called shadow was an obsession, an illusion, and something that the heavens did not approve of. Hu Fengzi's Tao had once touched Ning Fan, causing the Tao that Ning Fan cultivated to carry some of Hu Fengzi's shadow unknowingly. The void-abandoning cultivators had to abandon these irrelevant shadows in order to achieve a breakthrough. The first step was to see the reflection in the true illusion river. The second step was to abandon them. However, that was the path that ordinary cultivators had to take. It was not Ning Fan's path. Ning Fan already had some understanding of his own path of void-abandoning cultivators. His path was different from others. It required persistence and perseverance. He did not say much and continued to look at the reflection in the river. Under the first bridge, more and more reflections appeared. The second reflection was the past when Ning Fan rampaged through the 9 divisions of the Lu clan. That year, he promised the Luo Yun demon sealer Lu Daochen to bury his master, Lu Wu. After that, he did it with the reputation of the Luo Yun demon sealer Lu Bei. Until now, Ning Fan could not forget the hunched back of the old man who was looking at his master's portrait. He was lonely but he had no regrets. The Luo Yun demon sealer Lu Daochen had spent his entire life just to complete one thing, and that was to bury his master, Lu Wu. In order to fulfill this wish, he would have no regrets even if he had to give up everything. He could be said to be a role model for all cultivators. The reflections that I saw during my first void-abandoning cultivator's tribulation seemed to be related to promises. Ning Fan muttered to himself. The timing of his heart tribulation this time was the time when he fulfilled the promise of the Luo clan and remembered the promise he made to the slaughter palace. Could it be that the first heart tribulation of his void-abandoning cultivator's tribulation would be related to the word promise? Then, the third reflection appeared in the river. It was the promise he made to kill the emperor, protect the descendants of the Big Dipper clan and the slaughter palace. The fourth reflection was the promise he made to the Luo clan. There were more reflections and all of them were promises he made to others. They ranged from small promises to pills and medicines to big promises that he would risk his life for them. Ning Fan had fulfilled most of the promises he made in his life. However, there were still many promises that he had yet to fulfill. Due to the limitation of his cultivation base and other factors, he could not fulfill them for the time being. However, every promise he made actually appeared in the river and became the reflection of the first true bridge. It also became the persistence in Ning Fan's heart. Ning Fan looked at the river below the true bridge. Gradually, he heard the voice of the vast great Tao from the endless river. That voice was very vague. It was actually the void-abandoning heavenly voice that cultivators would certainly hear when they undergo their heart tribulation. Turn back, turn back, turn back. From my Tao of immeasurable crossing, void-treading realm of 4 illusions and 4 extermination, solitary flame sect, in the river, a fiery light suddenly soared into the sky. That fiery light then turned into a withered old palm. It was so dry that it seemed like it would decay at any time. However, it gave Ningfen a soul-stirring feeling. It was as if it could capture all the Tao principles of heaven and earth in that palm and restrict time and space. That withered palm did not seem to exist in reality. Instead, it existed in the reflection of the river. Along with the emergence of the reflection, it came into being. The reason why that withered palm appeared was not for any reason but to erase Ningfan's reflection in the river. By erasing this reflection, Ningfan's void-abandoning Tao would be achieved and he would be able to enter the early void-abandoning Tao. However, his Tao heart would be damaged and it would be difficult for him to achieve his Tao. It was because it was not a big deal for ordinary cultivators to abandon their obsessions. However, Ningfen was different. He was not an ordinary cultivator. His Tao did not allow him to give up easily, especially when it came to giving up a promise that was related to his Tao heart. Ningfen had a soul-stirring feeling that if he lets this withered palm erase his reflection in the river, his Tao heart would be changed. From then on, his temperament would change drastically and he would no longer be a person who kept his promises. What kind of withered palm is this? It actually has such a terrifying destructive power that can change one's Tao heart. Ningfen had read through many ancient records on the Wooden Island. Among them, there were many records that recorded the void-abandoning tribulation. However, after going through all the records on the Wooden Island, Ningfen did not find any record about the appearance of this withered palm. When other cultivators break through to the void-abandoning realm, they would also hear the void-abandoning heavenly voice. However, most of the content of the void-abandoning heavenly voice was simple and easy to understand. It directly pointed out the flaws in the cultivator's Tao and supplemented them. There had never been any void-abandoning heavenly voice that was as obscure and difficult to understand as Ningfan's. There was also no one who would have a flaming withered palm appear and try to erase their reflection when they are going through their heart tribulation. All of a sudden, Ningfen realized that this obscure void-abandoning heavenly voice and this extremely dangerous withered palm that could change a cultivator's Tao heart were highly likely to be the exclusive benefits of the persistent cultivators. Dangerous benefits. I must not let this withered palm erase the reflection in the river. Ningfan's expression changed greatly. Without any hesitation, he directly activated the shadow of the god-exterminating giant and plunged into the river, directly rushing towards the withered palm. He would not allow anyone to change his Tao heart. He also did not need anyone to help him decide the path to break through to the void-abandoning realm. His path was not to give up. There was no need for him to erase the reflection in the river. This palm had ulterior motives. It wanted to destroy his reflection and destroy his Tao heart. Dream on. Bang! A loud bang resounded. It was the collision of the god-exterminating giant and the withered palm in the reflection. Turn back, turn back, turn back. From my Tao of immeasurable crossing, void-treading realm of 4 illusions and 4 exterminations, solitary flame sect, after colliding with the god-exterminating giant, the withered palm did not suffer any damage at all. As for the body of the god-exterminating giant which was covered in golden flames, a dent was left on it. Even the golden flames were showing signs of extinguishing. Ningfen, who was hiding inside the god-exterminating giant's body, coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was actually severely injured by the withered palm, causing his internal organs to feel as if they were on fire. The power of the withered palm was so terrifying that even the god-exterminating shield could not completely defend against it. After clashing with the withered palm, Ningfen finally confirmed the origin of this withered palm. Sure enough, this withered palm contained the will of heaven. It was a withered palm that descended from the heavens to destroy Ningfan's reflection in the river. It did not allow Ningfen to walk on the path of abandoning the void-abandoning realm. Turn back, turn back, turn back. If you don't turn back, the heavens will force you to turn back. Heaven exterminating persistent cultivators, this path is blocked.